Yeah. So what? It's your boy, Bitz and Bobz. Yes, people, how we doing? International Women's Day. Not today, but it was yesterday. So big up to all these people that are with me tonight. Obviously, what we're going to talk about is racism and mental health. However, one of the biggest shows that was watched last night by, I believe it was over 11 million people, has to be discussed. Today, I'm joined by Melissa from Bias TV. I'm joined from B from Gold Diggers, and I'm joined by Rachel from First 11. Guys, how you doing? Melissa, you go first. I'm calling you Melissa. When did I ever do that? Mel.
Not many people do.
Mel, do you want to go first and just tell people, like, obviously who you are, obviously your show and stuff?
Yeah, so thank you for having me first. My name is Melissa or Mel from Sabalos TV. I do YouTube mainly about football. And, you know, as Bitz and Bobz said, we will be touching on, you know, some different topics today, which can be refreshing, but it's also not positive. But yeah, thank you for having me again.
Nah, you're welcome. You're welcome. And obviously, in the bottom right-hand corner, we've got Rachel, who's making her first appearance on the show. How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm not bad, thanks. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm okay. And then, Rachel, where can people find you on YouTube?
At the Devil's Avocado, Manchester United fan. A lot of ranting. But lots of ranting. But you can find me on the First 11 as well, YouTube channel.
Perfect. Last but not least, the Gold Digger in the building. B, how are you doing? You all right?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on. You can find me on the Gold Diggers UK on YouTube. But yeah, excited to be here. Well, there's a lot to unpack, actually.
You're not lying. And do you know what? Yeah, look, let's. I thought it was interesting, right? Look, we all know what's been said, Meghan and Harry, and so on. And it's not about taking sides, okay? All I'm gonna say is that it's not about taking sides. Big up Jeremiah. Today, I'm not really going to be like, yeah, subscribe, blah, blah. If you're new, yes, subscribe, but I'm not really going to touch onto that too tough. So, guys, we all woke up. If you didn't stay up for the American show of the interview, you'd have seen, but you'd have understood that there was obviously something happened, right? Piers Morgan, who I believe has just been sacked, right? Hey, he came out on Twitter, on social media, and on GMB, on his TV show, actually berating Megan. Now, Mel, I'm going to go to you first, yeah? When you saw that, what was your first thoughts?
What, the Piers Morgan?
Yeah, Piers Morgan, like when he was like, she's demolishing the Queen, she has no everything, blah, 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 his complete rant.
I'll be honest, I think I'm not going to hold back in this one. I think British royalists are up there with some of the oddest people on social media. I don't know how you can have so much, you know, tribalism for a family you know nothing about behind closed doors, and, you know, have so much malice towards a couple that have just, you know, fallen in love. I think Piers is a bitter old man. I think he's always been a bitter old man. And I think it's so irresponsible to have the platform he does, you know, and come on a platform with over 1 million viewers. That Good Morning Britain show he done smashed the ratings, you know, for his viewers. So to have that many numbers and sit there and say, when his co-presenter, his yes man to the left of him, the woman, saying, oh, but Meghan was driven to, you know, having suicidal thoughts, and for Piers Morgan to sit there and say, so she says, that's ignorant to say the very least. It's irresponsible of the platform you're on. It's damaging, and it's just downright nasty. And I think that's what Piers Morgan is. He's just downright nasty.
Rachel, Piers Morgan, downright nasty. We know of. He's got previous. Okay. What was your feelings and thoughts when you first saw it?
Honestly, even if you take the race element out of it, which obviously you shouldn't, his dismissal of someone's mental health is unacceptable. And quite frankly, it was disgusting, because you can't tell someone how they should handle something or how they should deal with something. And he's basically just dismissed what Meghan Markle was feeling. And even if she was lying, the fact of the matter is, it's not your place to sort of make that judgment. someone has come out and said that they needed help, that she wasn't getting the support that she needed, and she was having suicidal thoughts. It doesn't matter whether she would have gone through with it or not. Having those thoughts is damaging in itself, and for him to dismiss that was a disgrace, really. I'm a big advocate for mental health, because having gone through it, having people in my life that have gone through it, the most that people need is support. The least that they need is support. You need to have people around you that can help you in your toughest times, be there for you. They may not understand it, but the fact that people are there for you is a big part of helping someone through mental health issues. And
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that about the support word, because we're gonna touch on that. B, just obviously like the girls have said, how did you feel? You woke up, you've just put going on the app, and then obviously you see this guy belting and screaming. What was your thoughts?
I was angry, quite frankly. I thought he was just so irresponsible and nasty. I've known for ages, but he's so egotistical. Everything must be about him. And in that moment, when you've heard that someone is struggling with suicidal thoughts, your first response shouldn't be what he said. That was completely irresponsible. And considering the fact that ITV were having a mental health campaign that's currently ongoing, you're sat there saying that because you have so much hate in your heart for this woman. It's disgusting. And the fact that he even came back to defend himself and defend what he said, that showed to me that isn't someone that cared. That isn't someone that had, any remorse for what he said or what he did or how he may have affected people. So quite frankly, I'm happy he's lost his job. And we already know that he might get hired somewhere else. But for the meantime, I don't want to see his face. I don't want to hear about him. He needs to learn that not everything is about him, and he should be considerate of other people's feelings, and he should consider how damaging his words may be to others.
So, I agree with all three of you, 100%. And for me, when I watched it, I thought to myself, everyone would say it on a big man thing. No, as a man, okay, if you're unhappy with something, okay, not even a man, as a human person, if you're unhappy with something, however, you have a duty of care to your viewers. You have a duty of care to your employer, how to behave and how to act. And I think to myself, what really makes you angry at this woman? And there's only two things I can think of: her skin color and the fact that she's a woman. Okay. And
there's one more thing as well. She ghosted him, apparently. So they went on a date, had a few cocktails. He put her in a cab, and she ghosted him because she met Prince Harry the same day. So he's harboring a bit of hate there, a bit of jealousy. So there's that as well.
This is the segue. Okay, this is the segue, because I sent you guys some videos to say, look at the positive words he had for her. He was calling her a nice person, lovely, what she stands for, the charity work she does. He even boasted about having a few drinks with her in a pub. He even told everyone what she drank, what they did. Then she put him in a cab, and on the way to a party, she met, obviously, her husband, who's Prince Harry. B, just going to stick with you, right? Does it come across jealousy?
It comes across quite creepy, actually, because it's like that guy that you meet one time that won't leave you alone, that obsesses about you constantly, that wants to see what you're doing, and if you don't respond to them,
then you reject him and he gets aggressive.
Exactly. It's like one of those creepy, flippant old guys. That's what he's like. It's a little bit more than jealousy, actually. Jealousy plus creepiness plus hate.
So I mean, Mel, come in here. Jealousy plus hate, right? And you've all seen it. We've all seen it. He boasts about, being with this woman and stuff. And I just can't help to think, you were happily on national TV saying this woman's lovely. We enjoyed each other's company and so on and so on. And you even said that himself, yeah, she ghosted me, but I'm happy for her. He also said one thing. I can see why Harry protected her from the media. How ironic, right? Yeah. Rachel, that sentence, I can see how Harry would protect her from the media. Why do you think that is?
We know what the British media is.
Let's say it, because look, I told you before you came on, I'm not holding back here. We know he's a racist, okay? Let's, call a spade here. So don't hold back here at the end of the day, because the way I see it is this. In fact, before we go forward, just to let everyone know, Mel is half Filipino. Rachel is half Greek, half Jamaican. Beatrice is Nigerian, okay? So there's a reason why they all have a say here. And as you can see, they all have one thing in common as well. They're female, okay? And for me, guys, as people with visible ethnicity, why is it we always have to be the ones with humility, composure, and calm when we're the victim? No, I want you to answer that, Rachel, now, after I've just said that.
Oh, gosh.
It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, it is tough because, to be honest with you, whenever I've shown, like, from my personal experience, whenever I've shown sort of frustration or, like, anger, my experience from other people's point of view is very different from, say, Beatrice, because a lot of people view a Black woman who expresses her feelings in a certain way, they view it as aggression.
Speak on it.
Like, it's my experience is very different with that. I'm not viewed as quite as aggressive. I've never had that personal experience. I think Beatrice would have a more
tougher time.
Absolutely, she would. Absolutely, and I think she would be a better person to actually explain that side of things, because from my personal experience, I haven't actually experienced that, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. But the way people view Black women in the media, especially, like, the assumption that they're aggressive, the assumption that basically that she's a bitch, when quite frankly, it's just a Black woman expressing her views on something, and she has every right to do so, especially when it affects her.
Mel, B, before we come to you, Mel, just jump in real quick before I come to B, because B, I want you to go ham on this. What's your thoughts?
I think, with this kind of stuff, there's a lot of layers to it. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. They think it's so black and white. There's racism, there's colorism, there's misogyny, there's classism. And I feel like a lot of the people that are telling people how to react to stuff and how to deal with stuff, it comes from a place of privilege and it comes from a place of entitlement. People that would never go through certain things sit there and say, well, for example, when Megan said about the comment about Archie's skin tone, which I know we're going to get into, I just wanted to say, a lot of the people, predominantly has to be said, white people in the media, saying, well, why didn't she name drop? Telling people how they should deal with certain things. Some people can call things as they are and call people out. Other people feel a bit more uncomfortable doing so. And different people have different reasons. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You shouldn't have to sit there. No, you shouldn't be sitting there as someone who, doesn't go through racism, that doesn't go through classism or misogyny and say, well, they should have done this, they should have done that. It's a very entitled and privileged standpoint, and it's just exhausting to see. It really is.
Do you know as a Black man, it's exhausting to even talk about this, because it happens every day, happens in every scenario. B, you are a Black woman, okay? You work hard, okay? You earn your money just like anyone else earns their money. And you see a mixed race woman in the royal family, okay? We have our thoughts and feelings about the royal family, but what does that do for you when you see Megan and you see the way she gets treated, and then you saw today and yesterday regarding how Piers treated the Black women? How did you think and how did you feel?
Again, it just comes to, like, whenever there's a visible Black woman, be it mixed race or not, I always feel like I have to defend them, because I know that people are already gonna come with their opinions that are quite prejudiced about this woman that they don't even know. I already know that's gonna happen. So I'm always on the defense anytime anyone says anything about her. Like in my workplace, for example, back when Megan was suing the press, I had an argument with my colleague because she was saying, well, everyone gets it in all of this. And I tried to explain to her that, no, it's different. But because she was coming from a different point of view, because she was a white woman, she couldn't quite see what I saw. And it just got me so heated, because I'm just like, just shut up. If you have nothing good to say about her, just shut up. I would prefer that, because why must you come with all this negative energy about someone that you have no idea about? Like all the narratives that get pushed through the media, people want to believe it so bad. It's so easy for people to believe the worst or the lies because they have these misconceptions about her already. Like if you didn't think about her in a negative way, or you didn't have these misconceptions, you won't quite easily just cling on to the lies. So as a Black woman, I'm always like on the defense. If I see anything, I'm ready to fight, quite frankly. Well, I don't not fight, but I've always got I want to go back and forth with a few people, because what do you mean? What are you talking about? Because I've experienced people calling me aggressive when they don't know me. I've experienced people saying I'm standoffish just because I haven't spoken to them. But I don't know you and you haven't spoken to me, but you're calling me standoffish. It doesn't quite add up. And in those situations, I haven't had people defend me. So I'm always quick, to defend when I see other people getting racist abuse in particular. So yeah, it's tough being a Black woman.
Your anger, and this is towards Rachel and Mel as well. The reason you're angry is because no one defends you. Okay? And the reason you're angry is because everyone is on to you. I tweeted something out. We tell the truth, we're called liars. Okay? We show emotion, we show pain, we're too emotional. Okay?
Or we're attention seeking.
We're attention seeking.
Yeah.
We mind our own business, we're targeted, right? And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, right? I've been in a disarray, like my head has been hot, rattled. I know I live in Scotland, okay? I live in a white man's country. I've been the statistic. I've been the one Black boy in the all-white class. I've been the only Black boy on the football pitch. I've been called everything, okay? And I'm still here fighting, doing the same fight. And it's so annoying to see that people with such high platforms, such as Piers Morgan, can be okay with saying the things that he does in the grammar he uses. Did you notice the grammar they used? They called Dr. Charlotte a bully because cloud. The aggressiveness came out, the undertone song came out. Yeah. Yet when Alex Beresford spoke to him on a leveler, he walked out. Mel, Black people get racism, mixed race people get racism, white people get racism. Okay. Why is it different for people that are half Filipino?
Wait, can you expand on that question, please?
Yeah, so basically what I'm trying to say to you, racism, we're talking about colorism. Why is it different?
Yeah.
Why do people think it's different? Can you tell them why it's not?
I still don't really understand the question.
Okay, so let me rephrase it to you. Basically, you know what we talked about on WhatsApp?
I don't know if my head's just gone blank. Sorry, guys. Go on.
No, you know what we're talking about on WhatsApp that you want to talk about? Colorism and stuff like that, how people don't understand.
Yeah.
Megan Markle has been said she seems passive, but when we look at her, we can all tell she's mixed race.
When people say passive, do they mean in terms of her features? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, let's have the conversation, because to me, when I look at her, I think she's mixed race.
Yeah, I don't understand what that means when people say that she looks passive. I thought you meant in terms of her mannerisms, in terms of the way she...
No, her looks, her appearance. Because
it doesn't compute
Mel
in my brain.
has had this kind of comments before. How people don't know that Mel's actually mixed race.
Always. Okay, that's fair.
Do you know what? When it comes to colorism, it's a really kind of complex topic, and it's even more complex for people, like white people that wouldn't, understand it. There's a lot of layers to it, and I can't speak for the Black community. I will never try and speak for the Black community, but me as a mixed race person from another ethnic minority, I feel like certain things in regards to colorism are universal across communities. One of them being that mixed race people have a privilege above their fully ethnic peers when that comes to the media and representation. When it comes to opportunities, etc. You know, we've seen when people are trying to cast, you know, they want a bit of diversity, but they'll, you know, go for a lighter skin. Then, do you know what I mean?
Do you know what? Let's be honest. Imagine Rachel and B went for a job, the same job. You know they're going to pick Rachel because Rachel's lighter skinned than her. It's facts. It's facts. So carry on, Mel. Sorry.
And this is where that's a conversation also internally amongst these ethnic communities, because there's the problem of, you know, mixed race people getting casted, and then it's mixed race people getting casted is problematic because it's kind of washing out, you know. So let's say half white, half black woman gets casted, that can then, you know, okay, that's enough to fill the diversity quota, and then it cuts out completely black women. I see it a lot in the Filipino community. If you look at Filipino media, a lot of them are half Filipinos. It's very, you know, kind of needle in a haystack to see a full Filipino. So I saw a lot of people in regards to Megan say that, oh, well, if the royal family were racist, she would have never married into that family. I'm not saying this is completely the case. You know, we don't know the royal family. We don't know Meghan. We don't know Harry, but we can speak, 100%. You know, theoretically, or what could have happened here. I honestly think Meghan's mixed race privilege is the reason she was even able to marry into that royal family. But then the wider scope of racism, full stop, is the reason she's also been, is ostracized the word? Or, you know, demonized from that family. So she's got enough privilege for them to tolerate her, but she's still too melanated to be treated equally. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. They can't unpack colorism and, you know, the privileges of lighter skinned and more Eurocentric features. And do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
B, I'm coming back to you, okay? Right. Gloves off, girls. Gloves off, okay? Racism is not debate, okay? It's not debate. And I'm just putting this out here. For the next 30 minutes, I'm not here to offend anyone. I'm not a racist. These people know me. And if you know me personal, you know I'm not racist. If you have anything that's said in the next 30 minutes that feels offend you, please drop me a DM. Happy to talk to you about it. B, I'm going to ask you first. Racism. Why do they think it's okay to be casually racist? Why is it okay for people to say the P word in a conversation? Or I'm just going to the P shop. And why is it okay for people to just drop the M word anyhow in front of us?
I think it comes down to not caring, not respecting ethnic minorities, not caring about black people. Because if we're talking about, you know, anti-Semitic behavior, that is completely off limits. That is completely unacceptable. However, when it comes to racism, you want to explain it away. You want to make excuses. You want to try and be like, oh, it wasn't quite like that. It might have been like this. I just feel like it just comes down to, you just don't respect black people. You just don't. You don't see them as equal to you, because if you did, you wouldn't make casual racism a thing. You wouldn't say that is okay, because it never is, regardless of whether it's one comment or a series of behaviors. It doesn't matter which one. Racism is racism, and it should never be tolerated.
When Rachel, when Jane Moore made those comments about how her stupid way of trying to defend the casual racism, which the part of that makes her the problem as well, because you have said it's casual racism. It's still racism. And it's worrying that they speak for equality and so on, yet they still try to cast off. Or maybe she tried to compare casual racism to asking if there was going to be ginger here. Now, with all due respect, guys, let's not crack a joke here, okay? Her dad has Archie's dad has ginger here. Okay, cool. His mom's mixed race. As light as she is, and as white as he is, why are you talking like what color of the skin was casual racism? It can't be casual racism when it's. And Rachel, I mean, talk to me. I don't understand it because I know it's racism. Why do they try and put a paper crack over this, basically?
This is something that's happened in my family. On the Greek side, a lot of the older generation are sort of they're sort of ignorant to like the wording, the stereotyping that goes on within within that community. When they're talking about Black people, there's a lot of stereotyping, and the older generation use certain words that aren't acceptable now, and they carry on using it, and people tend to not correct them. That's part of the problem. And whenever I've had conversations about this with people in my family, they see it as me sort of complaining about nothing. They don't understand the issue, even though you try to sort of explain it to them. It's one of the most frustrating things to have to deal with, because when you're mixed race, they think it's okay to say those things because you're part of them as well, if that makes sense. It's a very strange dynamic being mixed race. I'm going to be honest, because a lot of time, I don't know how to explain it, basically because there's two sides of you that's very different. And usually a union like that is supposed to be a good thing. You know, you've got two cultures coming together to create something that's different and the same, if that makes sense. Yeah, and a lot of people see that as a way of dividing. So for me personally, I didn't get to know the Black side of my family until much later in my life, and having the Greek side was something I had from when I was young. But as I grew up, as I was getting older, I started to notice little things. And when my mum told me the story about her and my dad, they had to go through a whole heap of messages you could imagine. I started to realize actually they may be okay with it now, but their views, and those views they still hold now, by the way, it's not like it's changed that much. They still maintain it because no one's correcting, no one's educating on why it's wrong. And sometimes they would just refuse to listen. Even when you have these conversations about it, they don't seem to want to understand. That's the problem. It's one thing understanding, it's another thing wanting to understand. They don't care enough, as Beatrice said, because it doesn't affect them directly.
100%. And on that, sorry, Rachel, just because what you just said is very key. They don't care and they don't understand. Now, it's funny this, okay? I don't know if I've told you this story before. I think I've told Mel. I asked a group of people, as you know, like with my job, I work in regarding the government and stuff. Don't want to speak too tough on it, but yeah, you don't know what I do anyway, right? So I'm the first Black leader in my organization, right? And I asked them, what do you do for the BAME community? And, well, we're trying to, build bridges and so on. Remember, 2021, right? So I asked them, if you go home, bear in mind, all these people are white, middle-aged white people, nice people and stuff. If you go home and you decide not to cook, what do? You order takeaway. And they're like, yeah. So I asked them, what do you order? Here they come. Indian, Thai, Caribbean, okay, Chinese, okay. So I'm thinking, you are aware of these foods. Who do you think cooks them? Do you get what I'm trying to say to you guys? So they are aware of this, just when it suits them, Mel, as a mixed race woman, okay, and a mother as well, with a mixed race child. Megan's sitting there saying, her child wasn't going to be treated the same as the white people. What goes through your head?
As a mixed race person, I think I've had this kind of conversation on my Twitter. A lot of mixed race people grow up with, I'm going to call it an identity crisis. Like
100%.
We're too ethnic for the white kids, but too white for the ethnic kids. So there's not really much of a sense of belonging anywhere. I know you've said different, but a lot of people think I'm white passing. I think I am as well, But as soon as people know that you're from somewhere else, I've been called. As soon as people on Twitter, for example, found out where I was from, my other half, I've been getting called a chink, left, right, and center. So even if you don't look, that ethnic, just the fact that people know is enough for them to, just let it rip on you. Archie, to me, looks like a white baby as it stands.
Yeah.
But people know that Archie is an ethnic child. I still believe he will get treated differently. Will he have a over his darkest years? Yes. But is he still going to get treated differently? Yes. So well, as I said, it's a complex one, but
No, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. And there's a question here, guys, and I want us to be able to answer this. It's from Mark Daniel Damon. How do you guys define racism so we're on the same page? How I define racism is that you make a derogative comment or you make a comment in a negative way or trying to make it in a joke way of that person's skin color. Okay? Not just their skin color, okay? Because racism could be about nationality, about where they come from. Okay. Does anyone disagree with me?
I think
Or anyone want to add anything towards that?
I'm gonna say it's not just comments. Sometimes behavior can be
Action.
racist as well. Yeah.
I think it's a superiority thing. I think that if you believe that your ethnicity is superior to someone else's, then you are racist. It's as simple as that, because that covers everything. That covers comments. It covers like the way the system works in terms of being able to get a job, how you're treated in society. That's what it covers. If you view someone as less than you because of the color of their skin or their ethnicity, then you're racist. That's how I view it.
Thank you for that, Rachel.
Can I also add to that?
Go on, Mel. Yeah, of course.
With the whole you see this thing about casual racism. Casual racism is still racism, but you see a lot of people try and argue it and say, oh, calling people snowflakes and victims, this ain't racist. What people don't understand is someone might say something so, vague, don't know, but people that have experienced racism are very familiar with undertones, with body language, with someone's tone of voice when they're speaking.
And the language and the words they use.
For example, yes. So, right, you see these buzzwords, for example, when it comes to Black women, aggressive, bully, ghetto, angry, these buzz terms. Someone that hasn't been through it, they'll just see one, Black woman get called a bully, and they're not understanding it. How is that racist? Blah blah blah. But they don't understand that Black women have grown up being called that word over and over again to the point you can hear the undertone in that, and that is why it gets called out as being racist. They're buzz terms that says a lot about your character, and it comes back to people, telling people how to react to things and not understanding things they haven't been through. I can't speak for the Black community, and I'm never going to understand the Black experience, but I have grown up with a lot of Black female friends, and I've witnessed them, all these buzz terms coming day by day: aggressive, bully, can I touch your hair? Where are you from? Is that your real hair? All these things, just seeing them constantly go through it. Do you know what I mean? It's frustrating, but yeah.
B, gonna come to you regarding that. Okay. What's it like being you, B, right now?
I don't really know how to answer that.
Okay, let me rephrase the question. What you see on social media every day regarding Black people, what you read on social media, not just what you see with the videos, what you read, and obviously the threads, the comments, the way people are so brave to say what they say. And then you hear, I'm not racist, I have a Black friend, or I like Aubameyang, or I like Andy Cole. How do you feel? Because as a Black man, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm angry every day. I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm angry and I'm hurt every day because you don't know me, but you don't like me because of the way of my skin color. Now, I can fake an accent. I can dye my hair. I wouldn't, because I know myself. But I'm just saying, I can, but my skin color, the reason why you don't like me is what I can't change. So for you as a Black woman, what is that like?
I think it is exhausting because, again, like I mentioned earlier, you're constantly seeing people in the media. So, for example, shows like Love Island, you see someone there and already you're emotionally invested in that one character because you see themselves in you or you see yourself in them. So it is exhausting. Sometimes you have to take a break, though, because you have to realise you can't fight every fight. And some people, it's honestly not worth it, especially on social media. There are so many people that are so quick to say something because they know it's going to get a reaction out of you. And sometimes the best thing to do is to not give them that reaction that they're looking for. Although it's hard, it's really hard. But some
How hard
people
is
really,
it?
it's
Break it down for me, because
so
I know.
you know when you're like you're about to tweet something and you sat there like, nah, it's not worth it. Turn it off. Turn the phone off. Turn Twitter off. Whatever. It's just like a constant battle because you want to say something every single time, but it's like all this energy is coming out of you, but what do you get back? You don't really get anything back. So then you're having to like, you're just having to stop yourself from showing all the emotion that you regularly would show, because you just realize it's not worth it for some of these people. But if it's someone you know, you're trying to explain and explain and explain and explain, and they're still not hearing you, they're still not listening to you, they're still not seeing it from your point of view, is exhausting. Because how much of this explaining are we going to do? Everything that we said today, we said yesterday, how many times have we said it? We've said it so many times to so many different people in so many different situations, but still nothing has changed. When is it going to change?
Do you know what would be like? I could cry right now because I'm having the same fight up in Scotland, you know? Like, we wanted change yesterday, you know? I can only share your exhaustion, because for me, you grow up in the changing room, in the football changing room, you're the only black guy there. You hear the words, the regards, and you're just thinking, wow. And I read something in the summer last year. Black people, sorry, I beg your pardon, white people, some white people don't like black people. They just like you. And that stuck with me for a long time. And don't get me wrong, I have white friends who are not racist. Obviously, I understand that. I'm not saying that every white person is racist, but it made me start thinking. So I started going on social media, guys, and seeing these people that I grew up with. And I was seeing the comments they were making. I was like, wow, I went to your wedding. You came to my house to have dinner. And this is how you feel and stuff. So it's tough. Rachel, for you, I know obviously you've got Jamaican in you and you've got Greek, you know. You were saying obviously it's tough, obviously growing up and stuff. When you realized you were different, how did you cope with that? And how did you, what was your coping mechanism?
Do you know what? My brothers and I knew we were different from very young to the rest of the family. Like,
why?
We were just aware of certain things that we got left out of, or sort of the different levels of attention that we were given. And do you know what? When I got to when I became a teenager, and I was aware of why it was happening, I could see the pain in my mum's face, because this is her family doing this, and we've had conversations, my mum and I, about it, about how much it hurt her. Like, my yaya, which is my grandmother, she would always help sort of like the sister-in-laws of like the sister-in-laws of my mum with their children, but she didn't help my mum with me and my brothers. Little things like that, sort of it hurt her, because for her it was, when she got her family back, she thought, okay, this is like progression, you know, things are starting to look up. But when she started to see certain things that were happening, it hurt her. But to be fair, like, my mum did have this conversation with both of her parents, and they stayed with us before they passed and that. And I think a lot of conversations were had, especially like even with me and my grandparents, just sitting down speaking to them, and they regretted a lot of things, and they started to understand. Even at their age, they were like in their 80s, and even then they were learning, and they understood it, and they realized that they were wrong with what they did and how they behaved. And I cherish that, because even though it took a really, really long time, at the end of the day, they learned. And that's what the most important thing is, to have these conversations. A lot of people aren't having these conversations, whether you're mixed race or whatever, it doesn't matter. You need to start having these conversations with people so that they can understand. And that was really important for me personally.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Mel, you know, I'll probably speak for B here. You know, we had the conversation when you're growing up, you know, people are going to say things about you. Don't fight them. Don't punch them. You know, keep calm and stuff. They might not like you. They're going to say names, because at the end of the day, we know how it went at school. Whoever hit first got in trouble, right? We all know that, right?
Yep. And if you were the black kid, you weren't given the benefit of the doubt. So
Thank you.
No.
You were either suspended or your parents would come into the office. And you know what it's like. If you see your mum there, you know it's over. It's curtains for you. Me anyway. I don't know about you, B. So what was it like for you growing up, being mixed race, and growing up where you grew up?
Yeah, so I grew up in Essex.
Boy.
Without makeup, yeah. Without my makeup on, and especially when I was a lot younger, I looked a lot more Asian. And that's what a lot of people have noted, that as I've grown up, it's like I've grown out of looking Asian. But when I was younger, I looked a lot more Asian. School was hard, I'll be honest, because in school, everyone got it. The Asians got it, the black kids got it, it was just black and Asian, really. I was kind of stereotyped as, so a lot of like Oriental Asians have that stereotype of being like, the geek, like kind of like the smart kid in school.
Yeah.
I had that because I was very smart when I was younger, before I started going off the rails a bit. I was always, when there was a...
Tottenham will do that to you, boy.
But when like the teacher would ask a question, I'd be the first to put my hand up. And then I'd hear someone in the back go, of course the Asian kid fucking knows the answer. It's hard because growing up, it's like, I don't have a set way, and I've never had a set way with how I deal with this kind of stuff. Sometimes in school, my coping mechanism was laughing at it, kind of making a joke out of myself. Like I would call myself, like my BBM name, this is so embarrassing, I'm going to tell you guys anyway. When I was younger, I would put my BBM name as like Chinky Mel or something, because I was getting called it. I kind of tried to, regain the term almost.
Is that because,
I remember there was a kid.
You were called it so many times and you just thought, do you know what, if you are going to call me that name, I'm going to try and own it at least, and try and make it turn in more ways than one, try and make it a positive kind of thing.
Sounds like the N-word, doesn't it?
Yeah, because the more I kind of called myself it, the less it stung when, I can't imagine that's the same for you guys, but with me personally, the more I kind of, labeled myself as it, the less it stung when I got called it and people tried to insult me. I'd be like, yeah, I know, I call myself that kind of thing. So it stung less. So that was my kind of coping mechanism, kind of making a fool out of myself. When I look back at it, it's actually really sad. But yeah, it helped me a lot.
The reason I haven't no, thank you for that.
No, go on.
No, carry on. Sorry, carry on.
Oh no, I was gonna another coping thing. I noticed, I only realized this in later years, like as much as I made a joke out of myself, I kind of started garnering a lot of self-hate. So I must have been not even going into year 7 yet. And I was asking my mum if I could dye my hair blonde, if I could change my name from Melisa to Melissa, because the teachers could never be bothered. They'll just look at it and be like, Melissa? Like, because they couldn't pronounce my name. So I was doing all these things to try and, I'm too young to understand this, but I was almost trying to whitewash myself because I looked, a little bit different to the white kids. Mum, can I dye my hair blonde? Mum, please, can I change my... I was crying to my mum because she wouldn't let me, change my name. So I garnered a lot of self-hate from that.
Right? All to fit in.
Yeah, and it's only like in maybe the last, 6 years, I've actually started exploring my Filipino culture, and I'm so proud to the point I maybe overcompensate now because of all the years I lost of trying to fit in with the white kids. So, yeah, that's all I can say.
B, coming to you, okay? And, we're all adults now, either studying or working or whatever, right? Career-wise, okay? You're a black female, okay? People don't realize that in your situation, I see fortunates. I see great skills. I see an amazing, hardworking, beautiful woman. Some employers see you as a double whammy. You're black and you're female. And some employers don't want that. Okay? And I think we need to be very honest here. We're not cracking a joke or sugarcoating. Some employers don't want you employed because of how you look. mentally, how do you cope with that, knowing that you're still going to apply regardless?
I think, coming out of uni and actually applying for jobs, that was humbling. That was a humbling experience because I knew I had the grades, I knew I had a good degree, but I applied for probably over 100 jobs, and the rejections were just coming through thick and fast. So it was quite humbling. And obviously, there's always the, do they not want me because of my name is a certain way? Or what is the reason that I'm getting rejected at the first hurdle? Obviously, in some instances, I got past the first stage and I got, to do the test or the interview or whatever. But there were so many rejections that you wonder, like, why? You always have this question, like, why? I think I'm fortunate enough to work for an organization that is quite diverse, considering, the times that we're in. And because I work in London as well, the London offices are quite diverse in themselves. However, I've moved to different teams, and the different teams that I've been in are very different in culture. So the first team I ever worked in was lovely because it was like a third Black, a third Asian, and a third white. So it was like really I loved it there. It was amazing. But then the next team I moved into, it was 2 Black girls, 2 of us. One was really light and I was the dark one, so I kind of felt already.
So you were the Black girl.
I was like the visibly Black one, and I was, funny enough, like I actually had experiences with my manager where I felt like he was treating me differently. I didn't know what it was, but he was treating me differently, and I felt at times like I was being bullied, but I didn't have an explanation as to why. And every time I told someone, they'll be like, "Oh, he's not like that. Oh, no, he wouldn't do that. That doesn't sound like him." But I'm sitting there like, well, it doesn't sound like him, but that he's doing it to me. Like, I don't know how to explain it to you. And I'm not going to say that it's racism because I can't say that I know him properly because we never actually built a solid relationship, but he's treating me differently to everyone else and I cannot explain why. And so I'm in this situation where I have no explanation on what's going on, and everyone around me doesn't quite believe it because he's not like that to them. So I'm just kind of stuck in like a box, and I'm just having to play the game, and that's quite tough. With furlough happening, it's been great because I don't have to deal with that. I don't have to, feel uncomfortable in the office. I don't have to go through any of that. So it's great. And also I'm moving teams, so I'm hoping my next team is gonna be a lot better. But I think because I move teams a lot, I have to adapt to working in different environments, adapt to working with different people, and not everyone is the same. Like, I wish everyone was like my first team. Every team I'm in was like my first team, but it's not going to be the case. So I constantly have to behave at work and almost kind of not be a different person, but be very toned down, be very palatable, like to the extent where other people are not made uncomfortable by me. And that's hard because at home I do whatever I want, outside I do whatever I want, but at work I feel like I have to be a certain way. I have to, toe the line. I can't do anything that anyone else would consider aggressive or would make them uncomfortable, but no one ever considers me but yeah, that's just the workplace. It's tough, but
no, I share that, and I think many people in the comments, and Rachel and Mel, have probably suffered the same because, it's funny how when you get to work, you change the way you speak. You speak in a different tone. You want to make sure that you are accepted, and it's just like what Mel was saying. She wanted to change her appearance to fit in, to fit in with the culture. And I'm currently working on a project right now with my employer on how to support that situation. Create a space where you feel safe, you can talk anyhow, you can be open and honest and not feel you're being judged. But the person you're talking to is a representation of yourself. Because I've been in situations where I've had to talk about racism, and I've got a guy from HR that's white and 45 plus. And I said to him, with all due respect, mate, this meeting's not even going to start. And he said, what do you mean? What are you going to tell me about racism? So in those situations, it does make me sad, but also it's stories we need to hear, because Rachel said something about Megan. She wanted support. You know, if you had complained, B, you were going to be the problem.
Yeah.
This is the culture. This is what I'm saying is with the culture. I'd like Megan. I'm just going to segue back to Megan. She actually asked for help. She didn't get it, so she left. Now, B, we can say that for you. I mean, you've technically done a Megan because you've left a difficult situation. You're going into a different scenery, not as exact, obviously. I get that. But I'm just saying my analogy is there, and we are not we, but I think the UK are judging this woman in so many different ways, whether you like her or you don't. Okay, she got herself out of a difficulty situation. Why is that being frowned upon? Anyone? Why is it being frowned upon? Because I see a woman saying she knew she was going to get treated from day one. She stuck at it. Then obviously the baby came. She knew why she was being mistreated. So why is it being frowned upon, or everyone's angry that she's left?
I think they're more angry that Harry left, and they're trying to use her as a way, they call it Megxit, didn't they? It wasn't Harry and Meghan, it was Megxit. So basically, it was like, for them, it was like she orchestrated the whole thing. They wanted someone to blame because Harry left. Well, he stopped his royal privileges and all that kind of stuff, didn't he? He's still called Prince Harry, is he not? He's still called Prince Harry. He's not just Harry now, is he? So he's still a prince. He still has.
Yeah, but I think that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, I think they just wanted someone to blame, and she was the best person to blame. You got a mixed race woman who's come into the family, didn't get the support she needed, of course, and then left. And they're seeing it as she didn't like what she got and decided that she was going to leave and take Harry with her and turn him against the royal family. That's basically how they portrayed it. When obviously it's not like that at all.
I think it's a little bit worse even, because her coming into the family, they made it out like she didn't belong, and that's where it all started. She didn't deserve to be in the family. She didn't belong in the family. And so because of that, they tried at every turn to bring her down. And then they tried to use her against Harry, saying she's polluting Harry's mind and she's the reason all of these things are happening. But again, it probably comes down to race and class. She doesn't belong in the royal family because she's this. They called her a gold digger. They called her all sorts of things.
She makes her own money as well. It's not like she was, she was an actress beforehand, and Suits is very popular. It's not like it's some. I don't know.
They made it out to be like it was some sitcom on TV, but it was a huge successful show.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate, and obviously welcome back, Kendall. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Just to add a little context why Kendall has joined myself and the girls is Kendall's also a mum, and Kendall won't mind me saying that actually her daughter's mixed race. So Kendall's had to adapt and learn new stuff herself. Don't get me wrong, from day one she's known right from wrong. Kendall, why do you think Megan is being touted as a homewrecker?
I think it's a lot of things, because this country seems to be very archaic in its ways of thinking. I think first of all, she is already divorced, I think, before. So a lot of people are seeing that as like that was the first thing. Which, I mean, it makes no difference now. How many of us now, I mean, I can sit here and say my parents are divorced and remarried. I mean, I think there's probably several other people out there who can say the same. I don't think that makes a difference, but this country likes to be, if you want to say, I want to say Christian, because that's like an archaic Christian value, but I guess it's just what this
Kendall,
country's like.
The KKK call themselves Christians. So.
Still on. Well, yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was the first thing. Second thing was obviously the fact that Megan herself was mixed race, because as I've said on this channel several times before, the racism in this country is so subconscious that it's really, really hard to kick out, because it is like ingrained in everybody's everyday lives, and the media influence is so strong in this country. And again, there's that sort of thing where attitudes come into play. So like, you'll get a lot of. I always think about white people because I think they're a major cause, but obviously I know it does extend beyond the white community, racism. I mean, but I think as well, like you get this thing where people will say like if black people are confident or like they believe in themselves or they're just not, they don't shy away, people are like, oh, they're aggressive, they're arrogant, and it's just like a really ridiculous way to look at things, but for some reason that's how it always is portrayed. So because Megan was her own woman and she had her own job and she had her own money, and she was sure of herself. She wasn't marrying into the family for status, for money. It wasn't for that at all. People didn't like that. People didn't like that she was already established way before she met Harry. And she was a woman way before that. So for some reason, people want to portray it as, that she's got an attitude, that she's a home wrecker, that she's a gold digger, which is absolutely so far from the truth. It's actually comedic. It's actually comical that the way that this country's portrayed her. But
as a woman,
go on, sorry.
So sorry, Ken, just the point you're saying there. As a mum, okay, and a woman, when you see that, does that put you off?
Put me off what?
This country.
Oh yeah, absolutely 100%. 100%. I was just thinking, yeah, 1,000,000%. Like, because I really don't understand why you would be looked at on the surface and people don't even know you, and that is what you're portrayed as. Again, is she Canadian or American, Megan? Well, either one of the two. I know she spent a lot of time. I know she spent a lot of time in Canada, but there's another thing. Like British people, like for some reason, the whole EDL, like British people love to be like, oh, Britain. When Britain literally is a country built on things that we have never brought here in terms of white people, that we don't own. We use French language every single takeaway. You don't get a British takeaway shop, do you? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yes, you don't.
Exactly. Like, this whole country is founded and built on things that white people didn't even bring here. They stole from other countries. So to me, it just makes me laugh that people want to be like, oh, you can't bring a mixed race person to royal family, England's the best, blah, 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 or have all St. George's flags in the bios and stuff. And this country's not even their own. Like, it's so embarrassing. It's so crazy.
I mean, if anyone listens to Getz, in one of his songs, he says, don't tell me to go back to my country when the Queen sits there on stolen jewels. And it's so funny, isn't it? Because sorry guys, so obviously Kendall, welcome to the show. I've got Temi, one of the hosts from All For United. Temi is a Nigerian that lives in America. Also one of my co-hosts, Big Gunner, in the building. So welcome to you too. I'm going to come to you guys. I've got a couple of people coming to join as well. Temi, obviously I've told you what to look out for and what to watch and stuff. I know you're in a different time zone, so thank you, my friend. We know racism anyway. Just by looking at you, I already know you understand racism. What's your thoughts on racism, and obviously on the thoughts, obviously, Megan, and if you touch on like your experience with racism?
Yeah. So I mean, just to preface, I don't know. I've watched a bit of the interview. You know what I'm saying, with Megan and Oprah. I kind of get the gist of what's going on there. With the royal family versus her being a woman of color in there, and the different things that brings. But from my personal experience, I mean, for you guys who live in the UK, I'm sure you see all the craziness that happens over here in the States with, police brutality, how it affects us in the workplace, just different things that, can bother us. And me, I'm like an immigrant. So I was born in Nigeria, moved to the States.
Hey. Chief.
This guy, you're Igbo, right, bro?
Of course. Now, what are you talking?
Yeah, I'm a Yoruba boy, so you already know. So rivalry right there, off bucks. But no, definitely. It's tough. It's kind of sad to see that this thing kind of permeates everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like singled out to the States. My personal experience with racism, you know what I'm saying? I grew up in like the country, so like what that means is like where all the farmers are. You know what I'm saying? Like the people who love to like just the basic like traditional like old American. So I grew up around tons of racist people. America is more segregated than like people like to believe. So like most white people hang out with white people, most black people hang out with black people, and then most people have like a sprinkling of different friends. You know what I'm saying? But I grew up like pretty in a predominantly white area where they like let you know like we don't rock with you type stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely grew up much different than a lot of my black friends. Whereas I was around a lot of white people, so I kind of know how to handle the. I have more thick skin, for lack of a better term, because of what I saw when I was growing up. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't excuse it. It doesn't excuse it in any way. You know what I'm saying? It definitely, now that I'm in the workplace, and you see different things, you see different microaggressions, you're like, damn, this is just how people are. It's not really like a one-off. It's like how everyone is everywhere. So it's not easy, you know what I'm saying? But you gotta, as a black person, you kind of have to have that like inner confidence within yourself, you know what I'm saying? To kind of know that you're good enough, no matter what anybody says to you, as long as you put your head down, you grind, you know what I'm saying? You can accomplish what you want to accomplish in this life, you know what I'm saying? So I'm blessed, I have parents who made sure I was on the straight and narrow. Africans are strict as hell, so like you already know how they coming with that. But I'm just blessed to have the opportunities I've had to kind of get out of those situations that I was in when I was younger. So, just a blessed life.
Guys, so just a quick introduce. This is Timmy from All One United. This is my cousin, Vinci, who's from Canada. Vinci, I'm going to come to you in a second, okay? Rachel, I know you need to leave. So just before you do leave, my last question to you, Rachel. You are now on YouTube, okay?
Yes.
How do you feel when you are on YouTube? Did you have to prepare in a certain way, knowing that you're female? Obviously, knowing that you're mixed race. The reason I asked that is because if you look above you, we have 3 very, very popular female YouTubers, 3 different races, but they all suffer the same treatment of trolling, social media, negativity and stuff. So mentally, how did you prepare to come on YouTube?
Do you know what? I didn't, because I've been watching all of you, to be fair, for a while, and on the on the football terrace and that, there's a lot of diversity, and that seeing that helps. That there's a lot of people that are like you, just doing their thing on YouTube and being successful at it, and that was really great. And those people that were on the football terrace, a couple of them were the ones that approached me to come onto YouTube and stream with them. So I was already very comfortable, but I was also very aware that if my face goes out there and I get more followers on Twitter and people see who I am and that I'm going to get abuse, because I've seen people get abuse all the time, and I was ready for that anyway. I didn't prepare for it per se. I just knew it was going to come. I already had abuse, to be fair, like privately anyway. So it's no different really. And my view on it is I'm just going to ignore it, because as many people said before, you can't fight every battle. You can't. There's so many people out there that are just hateful, and you can't just keep replying and replying. That's what they want. They want to annoy you. They want to antagonize you. They want to make you look like you're the person that's the aggressor, because you're going to be angry and upset about it. So for me, it's just block and then move on. I don't have time for it, if I'm honest with you.
No, well said, Rachel. Well said. And I'm going to let you go because I know you need to jump on the first element. But thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experience. But just to let everyone know, Rachel is a part of my United podcast. So look out for that. But thank you, Rachel.
Oh, you're going to see the worst side of me on that one. Yeah. Take care, guys.
See you later, Rachel. Thank you for coming on. B and Mel, okay? We've touched on racism, and I still want to keep talking about racism. Mental health, I feel like mental health is a buzzword for some people. When I say that, and please, guys, jump in. This is not a class where you have to put your hand up. This is a conversation. Why is mental health treated so different to racism? Because I actually think racism is still as important as mental health, but it is mental health, because I think to myself, I say to people this, okay, Kendo, I'm going to come to you. Someone calls you a white, I don't know, a white something, whatever, right? Okay, that's racism. Okay, right? We agreed on that, yeah. But you're expected to deal with that. Mel, someone calls you the C word, you're expected to deal with that. Mentally, you're expected to deal with that. Gunnar, big up to you, man. You're called a black whatever, you're expected to deal with that. So, I mean, am I being ignorant here? Or because I feel like mental health gets this massive attention. May she rest in peace. Caroline Flack died. Everyone was like, mental health. They pushed for that, right? So why is racism, Kendall, like just pushed to the side?
Because a lot of the people, I'm gonna obviously speak about this country because I don't know about other countries specifically, but
yeah.
I've said it before on here when we were obviously talking about racism in football. A lot of the people who can actually make a change within, racism or bring it to a head or who have a platform to speak on racism, it doesn't directly affect them, so they don't understand the actual severity of it, because a lot of them are white and will never experience racism in any sense. So because it doesn't directly affect them, it doesn't have an effect on their mental health, they don't experience in everyday life, they don't see it as like a burning issue, if that makes sense. Whereas mental health, pretty much everybody at some stage in their life will go through a period of bad mental health, whether it be just anxiety, depression, just anything like that. Everybody in their lives will experience that at some stage. So I feel like that is why, and it's wrong. I'm not justifying that at all, but I just feel like that's probably where it is, and why people are more inclined to shout and preach mental health and be kind and think before you tweet, because like racism, for me example, I mean, it's affected me in terms of my daughter, but it's never affected me directly. Like no one's ever said anything about my race or made me have less opportunities about my race or declined me a job because I'm white. That's never happened to me. Whereas like other people and other ethnicities, that will happen to them. But I think that's why, obviously, because a lot of the prevalent, especially authoritative figures in this country, and a lot of people in government and things like that, don't have the inclination to change it because it doesn't affect them and they don't really see it as a problem, and because they're not in it every day. Do you know what I mean? I think that's probably a big reason why, which is, it's all wrong. It's absolutely so irrespective of anything, it's wrong. But I think that's probably why it's not as campaigned for as such.
Gonna come to you on this, okay? Then I'm gonna come to Mel and Prime. Why the same question to you that I said to Kendall? As a black man, we already know the struggle, okay? We know it's tough out here and stuff. So the same question applies to you. Why is mental health being touched up here, and racism is all the way down here? Why do you think? Yeah.
No, it's exactly what Kendall says. It doesn't affect them, so why are they gonna care? If it affected them how it affected us, they would care. But mental health it's everywhere. It's everyone. I hear little kids like 6, 7, 8 talking about mental health. So that's how deep it is now. It affects everybody, but racism doesn't affect everybody. So yeah, why are they going to care? The only way they would care, is if it directly affects them. If it starts messing with what they're doing, if it means that people start to lose money because of racism, start to lose opportunities because of racism, anything like that, then racism is going to be at the top of the agenda. But right now, it doesn't mean nothing. Like, you're seeing whole countries get fined like 20 grand for being racist. Like, that's not even a player's weekly wages. So what's the point of a 20 grand fine? That shows to me that you don't care, innit? And there's just been loads of things that happen. Like one, like John Terry. Everybody's forgot what he's done, like what he did. Like, how do you, like, if that was the other way around, then it was, Jermaine Defoe beating up someone because they were white. Jermaine Defoe wouldn't be playing football no more. Like, he would have been cancelled a long time. But it's just things like that. It's just it doesn't affect them, so they don't care, and it could get brushed under the table. But as soon as it starts affecting money, their opportunities, their way of living, then we're gonna see them step up and care about racism. But that's never gonna happen. So it is what it is, isn't it? We just have to just deal with it. That's the truth of it, to be fair.
Mel, it is what it is, what people say, right? You know, I'm going to touch on social media and obviously you being female. And the reason why I keep using these words that you are female and stuff is because people need to realize you have to respect each other, even if you don't like them. Respect and accept. That's what I say. Why are we not being accepted and respected as ethnics? And Kendall, I'm going to include you on this as well, in this category. Because when we talk about Megan, we heard what they said. They questioned Megan's baby's skin tone. Okay? Now, I'm not saying Kendall has a racist family. No. What I'm saying that there are people out there that when Kendall had her baby, if it was a different kind of mind, would have probably exiled Kendall. You know, like Rachel said before, what happened to her mom. So, Mel, why are we not accepted?
I feel like, wait, am I speaking about racism or mental health here? Which one?
Why racism wise, why are we not accepted?
I
See there?
think.
Frozen?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Can you hear me? I feel like when it comes to, I don't even feel like it's a fact. When it comes to racism, it's so deeply ingrained into history. You know, the foundation of this very country we live in was built on racism and colonialism. Is that the word?
Mm-hmm.
Colonialism. So I feel like generation after generation, the fact it's so deeply ingrained is just keep getting passed down. And from when something's so, you know, deeply ingrained, it's a long battle. And it's something that we speak before about. I know this is quite like a controversial one, but unconscious bias. I think we spoke about this when I was last on your stream about someone will think a black woman is aggressive, but then when a Latina woman does it, it's sexy, it's crazy. Do you know what I mean? So even when it's such a hard battle to fight, when a lot of people may not even be completely, you know, realizing that, you know, the mindset behind why they're saying certain things is from a racist mindset, because it's so deeply ingrained into their, you know, their persona. And Britain, so covertly racist. A lot of things are, you know, it's different to America in a sense where, well, from what I've seen, Temi, feel free to correct me here, but everything in America when it comes to racism seems very overt, very, I will call you the N-word to your face kind of thing. Whereas a lot of it in Britain is microaggressions, it's undertones, it's casual racism. So, and there's a lot of denial in Britain. They'll say something that's very, you know, it's got a lot of racial undertones. It's a microaggression, but then it's so covert that they find that little bit of wiggle room so that when you call it out, they're in denial about it, you know, and that's one battle that's just always going to be hard to fight when people are in denial about it. If you're not going to acknowledge something or you're too ignorant to acknowledge it, what's going to change, you know? So, yeah.
Well, that's the question then. Okay, everyone, feel free. I mean, what is going to change? You know, Temi, I mean, you're out in the States.
Yeah.
I mean, what's going to change?
To respond to Mel's thing there, like that was an interesting point. I feel like America is very covertly racist too. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It
is covertly racist. Like, obviously, y'all see like the big news stories. You know, like George Floyd. You know, you see the big police brutality things on TV. You know what I'm saying? But most people, like most black people, didn't grow up the way I grew up. Like around tons of white people, like around tons of racist white people, or overtly racist white people, I should say. You know what I'm saying? Most people like grow up pretty, you know, in areas where either they don't have that many white people around them or black people, like vice versa. Or, you know, those white people are just covertly racist, if that make, for lack of a better term. But like, what's going to change? It's just like people in positions of power need to, like, people who look like us need to be represented more. It's that simple. Like, there's no way you're going to have too much change if everyone who's like in, well, for us, the Senate or the House, you know what I'm saying? Like, make decisions. It's just like there's not enough women in positions of power. There's not enough Black people in positions of power. So you're not going to get differing viewpoints. Like even in the workplace, like obviously there's always campaigns and things like that, but nothing's really going to change unless the people at the top look like you and me. You know what I'm saying? Like it's very diverse. It's very different. Like it's never really going to make much of an impact. Like people can, no one's going to have as much energy for racial change than, people of color. No one's going to care more about women's rights than women.
Mhm.
So there need to be people in those, in positions of power who are women, you know what I'm saying, who are Black people that can actually influence voting decisions. You know what I'm saying? Because we can talk all day. You know what I'm saying? We could, we can do it on the ground level. You know what I'm saying? We can try and make impacts on the ground level, but for like big change, like where you can see, in America, we've had so many Black people die who are not armed by police. You know what I'm saying? And they get away with it. That's never really going to completely change unless, judges look like you and me, or, people who are in power look like you and me. So yeah, it's a tricky one, but I think over time we're going to see like there's more mixed race families, there's more, diverse families. And over time, I think that's going to it's going to change because of that, for lack of a better.
I read something 2 years ago in flipping out. It was a newspaper actually. Was it the Evening News in Edinburgh? Mixed race, the term mixed race in the next 20 years will be the modern skin tone because of everyone mixing and having interracial families and so on. So that's actually interesting you do say that, because we talk about representation and, this is an odd one, representation. And I'm going to play devil's advocate here, because we say we want representation, but some of us will say we don't want the job just because of our skin color. Now, my answer to is that give me the job because of my skin color. Then I'll show you my talent. Then, because we always just ask for an opportunity, don't we?
What do you mean by that? When you say like,
so when I say like that, I say it like this. Okay, if you have HR, human resources, and you're pushing a equality campaign, none of your staff members in HR are Black. They're all white.
All right, I got you now.
There's the context. Okay,
yeah.
That's the context, and I don't know how you guys feel, and I would like to know how you feel. What is your attitude towards Vinci? I'll let you come in first. What is your attitude on positive discrimination? And when I say positive discrimination, what I was just trying to say there to Timmy about being given the job because you are Black, or as well as talented for the job, yes. Because I know the argument, people will say you don't want to be given the job because you're Black, mixed race, female. You want to be given the job because you are talented and the best person for that job. I have the same argument. I say the same thing. But there comes to a time where we keep knocking on the door. Sometimes we're just going to have to kick it down and just enter it for ourselves. Vinci, what's your thoughts?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, see, that's the tough part of this whole thing. If race didn't explode to being what it is now, then we'll be able to isolate businesses and be like in a position where we're like, okay, you know what, we give the best person a job because they earned it. Look, everybody wants to feel like they've earned.
Vinci, speak a bit louder. I can't really.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, so everybody wants to essentially be in a position where they want to feel like they've earned the right to be where they are. Everybody has their journey. They don't want to be given handouts, essentially. If you've worked hard, you've gone to school or whatever, you've got your qualifications, you interview, you prepare, you don't want to find out that you were just, you were given a job because of, you just want to be represented. But at the end of the day, we live in a world where, because of the disproportionate, labor force, and we all know about the prejudices against Black people or people of color, with regard to employment, especially in a lot of like fields that have to do with being seen in public or representing the global institution. So those kind of things, we all know what's there. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword, because at the end of the day, yes, I get that the motivation is good, where you want to diversify your workforce, but at the same time, it's like, okay, you're just trying to save face, you're just trying to look good. Meanwhile, you're probably making life hell for the employee later on, because they're not really going to get the accolades that they deserve, or or people around them are going to be looking at them like, look, you're just this token black person that's just brought in here to fill in the numbers. Like, we're not going to see you the same way. So it's tricky. That's that's how I see it.
Prime, what about you? What do you think about that?
I echo what Vinci was saying. I don't necessarily.
Do you know what I love about Prime, guys? Sorry, Prime. You know when Prime thinks, he literally pauses. He pauses and he's like,
I don't necessarily believe in or trust diversity hires, because yes, people of color, women, everyone deserves the opportunity, but they're only hiring because they have to, and they won't be given, the people hired, so whether it's black people or whatever it may be, they won't be given the respect that they should get because of the job they've done. Or they will hire the wrong person for the job, but because they are black or they are female and they've filled that quota, they'll end up doing a bad job, but because they fill that quota, they're not going to get fired, which again, also is not a good thing. So that's why I'm not fully on board with, because I'm not fully on board with it necessarily, because it's just, it's not always done in the right way.
What's your thoughts?
Yeah.
I think there's kind of two sides. For me, I'm very much ready to play the game. I'm not going to lie to you. If it gets me where I want to be and gets me what I need to get the things I want in life, I'm ready to play the game. Because I know that if I get into these positions, and by the way, I'm working towards that, if I get into these positions, I'm bringing my people with me. I'm using my influence to mentor people so they can get to the top as well. For example, like my organization, they have like a target in the next few years to get more representation in the higher ranks. So this is my opportunity, and like I'm going to take as much opportunity as I can get. I don't really care what you're doing it for. If it gets me what I need and it uses me to help other people, then why not? I don't see a problem with that at all, because I'll gladly do it. Obviously, I'm not going to do a bad job just because. I will do the job that I need to do. However, I will use my influence where I can, because I think that's important.
So
what if,
I love the passion. Go on, Prime.
Okay. And you get to where you need to go, and you will 100% earn it and be warranted that.
In Jesus' name we pray. Yep.
Amen. Then for me, it's also the thing of they won't give you the respect of you getting to a position that you've earned.
But the thing is, right, even if I've worked my hardest and I get there, say, in 10 years instead of 2, I'm still going to be treated the same way regardless. Am I not?
Thank you.
I'm still going to be treated the same way regardless. Even if I have earned it, like you say, and I've worked my ass off, people are still not going to respect me in the same way because I'm a woman and because I'm black. So I don't think it changes anything.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Like I'm a diversity hire. I work in corporate. I definitely got in through,
the quota.
Quota, essentially, for lack of a better term. When I was in college, or you guys call it university, right? But anyway, when I was in college, I had an opportunity to get an internship through like historically black college recruiting. I got the internship, which got me the job I have, to this day. So I am 1000% for, you know, token hires. Like there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's better than nothing. It gave me my opportunity, and that's given me, like Bookie was saying, it's given me opportunities to help other people. You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing like, yes, it might be like just doing it to save face, but at least that saving face gives us a starting point. So I'm like and I feel like if you're making a company money, I'm sorry, they're gonna respect you. Like, you know, like yes, you're gonna have microaggressions coming your way. You're gonna have different like people looking at you differently. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of if you're adding value to a company, you know what I'm saying? It becomes very hard for them to start like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not
respect you.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just like there's always going to be microaggressions. There's always going to be people looking at you sideways. But at the end of the day, if you're doing your job the right way, they're just going to find another way to lowball you at work. But it's not going to be a lack of respect because you're doing your thing. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm going to ask Gunnar, right, on what Temi and B just said, because that's my attitude, 100%. I'm not going to lie to you, because it's not about just being ambitious, but if you're still going to treat me the same now as you're going to treat me the same then, I'm all for it. So, but Gunnar, what's your attitude towards that?
Yeah, it's the same, man. Like, to be fair, like I think we all want to work for ourselves anyway. So if they're gonna give me that job to get me in a position to take my things from them to do my own things, then I'm gonna run with that. But what I want to see essentially is it in places that we want to see it, because we've watched football. Like, I'm 35. I've been watching football for over 20 years.
Can we see a passport, Gunnar?
No, none of them was. none of them was. But look at the people that I grew up watching: Les Ferdinand, Andy Cole, Ian Wright. All of these sort of people. Why have they not become managers? Why have they not become managers? And I can't sit here and say it's because they don't have the footballing brain. You get people like Sol Campbell, Rio Ferdinand, all of these people. Why have they not been catapulted to the Arsenal job like Arteta was, the Rangers job like Steven Gerrard was, Lampard, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Why have our people? That's where we want to see it now. Ledley King. Why is he like? We know Ledley King's good enough to be a manager. Why is he not a manager? So that's where I want to see it in everyday life. That the things that essentially that we love and that we can physically see, that's where I want to see people being catapulted into these jobs, because it's just not happening. And that's the only thing we can put it down to is race, because you can't tell me all of these guys where they were the best in football that they can't be managers. That I don't buy that at all. So this is where I want to see it now in football coaching. Like I've been a coach for ages. Like, I'm the only black coach everywhere I go. Why am I the only black coach there when every kid playing football in the park is black? Like, this is where it needs to start. So, yeah, I just, me personally, I'm gonna take, if someone's gonna give me a job because of my skin color, I don't care. I'm gonna run with it, get my money in and bounce in it. That's essentially what it's that's essentially what it's about, because that's what they've been doing to us. So we have to do the same thing back to them, innit? So that's the way it's gonna roll, innit? But yeah. Whoa,
Mel, what about you? What about you, Mel? In the hinds of what everyone is. Oh wow, here we go, guys. We're getting some spam. How much film though is it required to kill a girl? Well, there you go. Cue the racism. Anyway, we move. Mel, from what everyone was saying, Temi, B, and Gunnar about working for yourself, or that you're just going to take the opportunity regardless. Okay, what's your thoughts on it? You know, if a company approached you and just said, "Well, do you know what? There's so many guys here, and they're all white men. We actually don't have diversity. You know, would you take the job because knowing that they've picked you because you are different to them?"
Oh, you're mute.
You're muted. You're on mute.
Right, I was just talking to myself. Anyway, I would definitely take the job because I know I will do what I need to do with that job. However, on the wider topic of like kind of token hires, I'm a bit torn on it. I want go back to what you said about positive, you know, discrimination. Okay, I learn that's like I don't see color. You know, you see a lot of people, like especially Brits on, you know, Twitter with the I couldn't give a shit whether you're black, white, green, pink, purple. I really hate that term because I feel like you should see color, but just not in a negative way. You need to see color so that you can understand people's experiences and what people go through and, you know, be educated. So I do think you should see color, just as I said, not in a negative way.
Yeah.
When it comes to, let's say, I want to hire this person because they're a woman, or I want to hire this person because they're black, I feel like there's nothing wrong with that as long as people know why they're doing it. I don't like the whole, I'm going to hire you because you're going to fill the diversity quota. Or, do you know what I mean? Like, I want them to hire these people because they want to make, you know, the positive change. Because imagine when it comes to places, positions of power, that people were saying, I don't know, there's no diversity in government. And then they used Preeti Patel as their token of diversity. Do you see what I mean? So I agree we need a lot more, you know, women or people of color in power, but I also think it's more than that. You need to, you know, be hiring them for the right reasons, because I'd be damned if people were saying my representation in the government is Preeti Patel as an Asian girl. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm a bit torn on it, but yeah.
Do you know when you don't see color, right? Do you know what I say to people? Or when they say, "Oh, I don't see color," so I said to them, "Do you drive?" And they go, "Yeah." So, do you stop when you see a red light? And they're like, "Yeah." So you do see color then. And they look and laugh. They're like, "Oh, yeah, obviously." About like, no. Let's keep the energy. I want to give a massive shout out to Laurie here. Laurie, this is the first time you're on my channel, man. Big up to you. Thank you for the support you have. Laurie, obviously, you know the topic, racism, and what we think are of obviously the Megan interview. I haven't really spoke to you about it, my friend. What was your take on it?
Listen, it's not even a case of I'm trying to be silent about the whole situation. I've seen what's happened. I'm seeing what's happening, and it's of no surprise in a sense that we know how ignorant this country is. We know that there's a lot of ignorance in this country, and I find it hard to comprehend and accept some of the stuff that is going on, knowing that my children are mixed race themselves, especially with what I try to educate them with, and when I'm trying to show them what's right from what's wrong. So they've had to deal with a lot of it secondhand, especially with my daughters. Now, my daughters are 15, twin daughters that I have. They're 15, and they actually grew up in Kent, so they didn't grow up in London itself, which is where I'm from. So they grew up in Kent, and the racism issues they had there were so bad, they ended up moving back to London just before they started secondary school. So I've been the advocate for the whole thing for a long time. Even before that, growing up myself, I'm an 80s baby, so I've seen a lot of that's why a lot of people like to call me uncle, but I've seen a lot of this, and the reason I say it comes as no surprise to me is because, as I said, it's something that I've had to deal with. It's something that my family's had to deal with. It's something that my own personal family deals with, as in my children and my upbringing. But for me, what I've seen and what goes on, it's like it comes from different places and different areas. And although I haven't accepted it, I've acknowledged it. So again, going back to that, you may have had the same problem in Scotland, but when I was in Kent with my twins, because that's where they were living, so when I used to go down there to spend time with them and whatnot, and you've got people, they see a black guy, a black girl, a black guy with a white girl, and then two mixed race babies. So you get all the pointing and staring. And me, I didn't feel away. I would acknowledge them. I'd be like, "Hi, you okay? Everything all right there?" And then the shame. So they would hide. They're hiding and quivering because I'm highlighting the fact that you can't accept an interracial relationship, or you can't accept that black and white people can mix together and get on. So it was something that I've always highlighted and embraced. And the problem we've got with this country is the whole issue with racism, what this casual racism thing, I can't get that out of my head. I'm still trying to understand what casual racism means. What is that? If someone knows what that means, please explain it to me, because I don't get it. And
foolishness.
What I think needs to. Sorry, go on, KJ.
Nah, casual relations are foolishness, isn't it? Like, listen, when people say, "Oh, but I'm just being casually racist," like, "Oh, it's just no, bro. You know what you're doing? You're taking a chance to be racist and hoping that no one hears it or no one takes it in a certain way, bro. I'll take it in a certain way, my brother. You know what I mean? Because I know what you're trying to do. Like, listen, there's certain jokes about stereotypes and things within our culture that, yes, we will joke about, and certain people, like our friends, will joke about them. We're cool with that. But I don't know you like that, my brother, my sister.
But there's limits, and there's limits. There's limits.
So why are you saying it? Why are you saying it? There's no excuse for it. Like, this is what it is, isn't it? Like, these people, yeah, be like, "Oh, but it was just a dumb question." It wasn't just a dumb question. The intent behind it was basically, I don't want this child to be black. That was the intent of that question, and no one can tell me otherwise. So it is what it is, isn't it? These people need to get got in some way, shape, or form.
No, I hear what you're saying, Vinci. I see you wanted to say something.
No, with regards to with Megan, I think what concerned me was the fact that she said that there were concerns with the skin color of the child. Concerns, plural, right? And it was had with Harry, not with her. So that means that it's almost like Harry has also been a bit blindsided a bit by his own family, essentially, being that, like, okay, like, I knew my family was this way, especially with the experience with my mother, but dang, like, this race thing, it's like it's front and center, it's in his face now. So it's like smack in his face. He has to deal with it now because he's never really had to deal with it before. You know, all the other times he can travel.
Race woman, that's why.
Exactly. All the other times he goes and visits Commonwealth countries, you know, Kenya, South Africa, and then, you know, you do what you have to do. You do your duties, but he hasn't really smelt it, and he did, and both of them have just been shocked. But there's another perspective I want to throw in here, right, that we need to be aware of. When it comes to race is a construct that was created for a reason, right? It's a fundamental construct to divide people. And this one is dangerous because it's dividing people of different colors, obviously created by the whites. Now, I have had to do a lot of unlearning as I've gotten older, Bobz, because I grew up in Kenya, right? Commonwealth, like I told you, British system. I was trained in the British way, spoke with the British way. Till today, people ask me, "Did you live in England?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't." But I learned a lot about European history even before I learned about Kenyan or any African history. So this has been years of being conditioned in the British way, and I've been kind of conditioned to kind of romanticize a lot of the wrongs that have been done in the past, a lot of things that have been stripped away from, like, Africa and a lot of the culture, right? Even to how we even cut our hair. and how we have to leave it at a low place to get employment. That's there's so much that has been stripped off as from our original identity that if you even learn more of it, you'd be quite scared. So that's the first thing. Like the more you learn, the more you realize that you've carried on so much. For example, I'll give you a practical example, right? A lot of us grew up in Disney, right? We've got this Disney, Snow White, all these other things. You guys watched that when we were younger, right? As an 80s baby, I remember that the first time I saw Africans kiss in a movie, right? I was like, Jesus, like, what is that? Like, you want to like?
Wait, was Uncle and Auntie in the room at the time, or what?
Of course not. Like, no, but I saw it and I was grossed out because what I'd been exposed to as a way to show affection, kissing is more like how white people did it. It was nice. It was done in the movies. It was media that had kind of like brainwashed me to be like, this is how it should be done. This is the only way it should be done. Anything else that's done different, that's probably not love, man. The guy's just swallowing her face type of thing. So these are little nuances that is being put through the media as we're growing up and we're downloading it. And this includes colorism. In Africa, a lot of us, we get away with this slight thing of like, oh, you're light skinned, oh, you're dark skinned, right? That used to not be a big deal to me before. I used to be attracted to light skinned people without even knowing, right? When I was in like teenagers. And I found them much, but I didn't know why, but obviously it was because of the media. And then later I would automatically before I would automatically close off anyone that was like darker skin tone. And this is still a problem. This is why we have people that are still like bleaching, because even amongst ourselves in Africa as blacks, we look at each other when there's no white person around. We're like, how do I differentiate between you and me? You're lighter, so you're kind of finer, or you'll be in a situation where hospitality business, right? Who wants to be at the front desk? Oh, this one is light skinned. She's more accessible. She'll be more presentable to welcome the people coming in. So we put her in the front. And the darker ones can be in the back, doing the towels and things like that. These are subconscious things that happen.
And they're doing it and who are they pleasing? They're pleasing the people that bring the most money to their country. Exactly. So they're not looking after their own people, which is very sad and unfortunate.
Right. So but this is what surprised me. All of us, if you're black, you have to, where you can say, oh, I'm gonna sit back because that's not my business. It's your business. If you're black, if you're of color, if you're prejudiced against as a race, you are owning that. You are carrying that. So you have to be an advocate for that. And you have to call it out. That's the only way we'll see changes. We highlight the positives, we call it out, and we push through, like you guys were talking about in terms of employment and stuff.
So talking about calling it out, okay, KJ, calling it out, okay. Piers Morgan's, I don't even know her name, his co-host. What's her name? I don't know. Is it Samantha? Suzanne, right?
Might as well be Karen. Might as well be Karen to me, fam. That's what it should be.
Bro, Karen,
straight out with it. Straight
Hopkins, up. Whatever. Did you see her face when Dr. Shola spoke? When anyone else spoke? I think if you're silent, you're just as violent. KJ,
she's guilty.
When people don't call it out,
she's guilt. It's guilt, fam. You saw it on her face. She knows that what he's doing is wrong, but because she gets paid by the by ITV, because she gets paid because he's the one next to her, she sits there just like, oh no, maybe you should. No, shut up, man. You know it's wrong. Tell him a dickhead to his face.
Don't say that.
Don't say that. No, enough of that. If it is wrong, if it is wrong, call it wrong. It don't matter if that's your brethren, yeah. If you want to do the nicey kind of explanation to them, do that off screen. But when you're on here, when you're in front of millions of people and you're letting your co-host do that, that is a disgrace. Absolute disgrace. Tell him, you know it's wrong because I can see it on your face. You have to tell him, yo, Piers, stop being a prick. You know what I mean? You obviously can't say it like that on air, but you know what? She can challenge him. Where's the challenge? The lack of challenge is what's killing the people. because they got the white people sitting there like, oh, maybe it was a dumb question. Oh, but maybe they meant it this way. No, challenge them.
Who was the guy who challenged Piers? Like, was it this morning or the morning before?
Yeah, the weatherman.
Wait, man got put in a spliff on his own show. Fam, don't come back. Wait, don't come back, fam. You're too busy getting smoked.
Guys, like, look, this is what I love about this YouTube scene that I'm on. Okay, like I'm looking at my camera, I'm looking at my laptop, and I see different faces that represent society. In fact, not society, the world, because we've got Temi here as well. Okay, why? Okay, what KJ just said, and Laurie, what you've just added to that as well. Why is it that they don't say anything?
She can't. Like, I'm not on her side. I'm not giving her any excuses. But in her position, like, it's just mad because of the sort of person he is. He does it to her. Like, for really and truly, obviously she should step up. She should have said, no, that's not the way, that's not how it rolls, innit? But at the same time, the people that run the show, yeah, they're allowing it because they're allowing him to do it to her. It's not like he just does it to black people or does it to, homosexual. He does it to everybody. Like, she needs to fix up. She needs to, like, look inside her soul and be like, why didn't I say a thing? But she actually gets bullied by him as well. So the whole dynamics is just mad because I watch it sometimes and I'm like, right, you know what? Alex took it twice from him as well. So it happened to Alex last year and it happened to him the year before. So now obviously my man's like, nah, this ain't going. But it's because she's one of those people that says, I don't see color. So obviously, again, that's the issue. He sees the color because he feels it, innit? Like, it's happened to him. He's been racially abused, innit? So I wouldn't say it's easier for him to step up. And I think sometimes it's easy for us to say, this person should have stepped up, that person should have stepped up. But at the end of the day, like, how do some people deal with it? Like, when that thing happened to, I don't even want to mention it, but when it happened to one of the people on this sitting here in the panel now, in his stream, like, people just stood, like, they just sat there. But it's those people that piss me off because those people were saying Black Lives Matter. Yeah, if this happens, this is disgusting. But when it actually happens, what do you do? Like, that's how we judge you, innit? Like, you man crumble on the spot. And the biggest issue, like, it's not even an issue. You know what it is? Yeah, they're scared of us. Right now, they are scared of us. Like, they're scared of women, they're scared of men, they're scared of black women, they're scared of black men. That's the issue. Is that when you really think about it, women run the world. Like, without a woman, the world can't run because we can't give birth to. Yeah, like, we can't give birth to it. So already, the power is with the woman, and then the power is with the woman that stands up for herself, and that's what they don't like, innit? So even if Susanna stepped up in that situation, they would have smashed her down. Like, and I think at the same time, she should be brave enough to stick up for herself in that situation, but she knows they would have slapped her down, and she would have been in trouble more than Piers, and we know that, and then that's just. But
it got to the point where there's consequences anyway, fam. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta take when it comes to things that are right, you should just be doing the right thing. Yeah, like, I hear people I hear the argument when people are, I'm in a certain job, so I can't do X. I'm in a certain job, so I can't do Y. It will affect my wider family and my income and stuff like that. I get all that, but then there becomes a point where it keeps on happening, and you are now choosing to turn a blind eye. You're not choosing to do that, and that's my thing. It's just like,
who's going to pay for? Who's going to pay? Like, who's going to sustain her though? Like, I didn't. You're
telling me, Susanna, yeah, on Good Morning Britain can't find another job. You're telling me that she couldn't find another opportunity.
That's the thing. I think it's still different. Like, if it was a man in Susanna's position and he didn't step up and say, boom, that's not how this thing runs. For me, I'm more angry with that man. But in this position where we know the guy is physically a bully,
he's actually a bully. Like he bullies everyone. I 100% agree with everything you're saying, KJ. But at the same time,
I know. I hear
this
that point, I hear
woman,
that point.
she's physically bullied as well. So where does she? Not physically, like he bullies her as well, live on screen. Where does she go from there? Like you can see, it's so awkward for her that he says something every time he opens his mouth. Look at her facial expressions. Like she don't want to be there.
Yeah, but
Very
if she don't want to be,
speak up. I know, but if she did speak up, you know that she's going to be blacklisted, though, don't you?
Well, fair enough, innit? So if you, one thing I will say then is I agree with you.
Yeah.
I get your point. 100% agree.
Yeah.
With you. But if you don't want to be there, why are you there?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that
Yes.
tells me there's something there. There's a reason why you're still there and you're putting up with it. You know what I'm saying? And clearly it's the money. It's clearly it's the money.
Yeah. Money.
Would it have been
But
better
then,
if she
but then,
didn't say anything?
but then, in saying that, okay, I hear where both of you come from, and sounds weird, but I do agree with both of what you're saying, Kendall, right, and Mel. I just want to hear your 2 points on this, okay? You're Susanna, okay? Why do you feel uncomfortable to speak out? And I'm not saying you would personally, but just for the man them here, can you try and help us try and understand? Because we've got our own thoughts, yeah, but you know, Mel, you're mixed race. You're half white, you're half Filipino, and Kendall, you are a white woman. So, can you try and help us, make us understand why, in that situation, she didn't say anything at all? Because you know, if we were, I mean, you saw it today. He made a comment about the woman's dress, saying it was a skirt. Do you know what I mean? He made derogative comments, but she didn't say anything. So, I mean, can you try and make us understand why she didn't, Kendall?
I think
She's enabled it for so long, though. Sorry, go on, Mel.
Oh, okay. No, I was just gonna say it could be a mix of things. It could be that she thinks she's gonna get shot down. She could be one of those people that just aren't great for confrontation. I mean, the nature of that job, if that's the case, I don't know why you'd be on that kind of show. It could be, and it could just be that she's a pussy and she's a yes man. I don't know, but as Kendall said, she's enabled it for so long, and it gets to a point. You're clearly here for a reason. You don't like what Piers says. We can see it in your face. We can see it, when you're rolling your eyes, laughing certain things off, and it gives very big sellout energy because you clearly don't want to be here, but obviously you're just here for the money. I don't know, but yeah, Kendall, you can go.
Yeah, that's the thing. She does enable it, and I have no respect for it whatsoever because she sat there and laughed whilst her colleague was getting called out and being made to stand up because she was wearing a mini skirt in the summer. Like, I'll never respect anybody like that. And whether or not she feels uncomfortable to call Piers out because of the man that he is, or the bully that he is, it makes no difference. If you want to come out and say, "Oh, what part of my silence?" Because I think she tweeted and it was like, "Oh, what part of me speaking up was my silence?" Silence, and I thought, you didn't even barely speak up at all. You sat next to Piers for an elongated amount of time, X amount of years, and let him spout the absolute crap that he does and barely ever challenged him. But that's why she is in that job, because they're never going to put someone there like, I'm trying to think of just a random presenter who
Lorraine?
Yeah, like Lorraine. They're never going to put Lorraine next to him because she will always call him out on the crap that he spouts. So that's why Suzanne is there, because she's meek and she's mild and she'll never call him out on the things that he says. Like today when the whole Alex Beresford thing happened, and the roles were switched, and Alex Beresford was like, "Oh, I'm going to walk off now," like for a joke. Suzanne was like, "Ha ha ha." No, like you've just literally sat and watched for months. Or even years.
That was the perfect opportunity for her to say something.
Exactly. The perfect opportunity to say, you know what? I agree with Alex on everything that he said. He's right. It's about time that you got spoke down upon, blah, blah, blah. But she didn't. She sat there and she just let it happen. She laughed. She did a little, a little gimmick, a little eye roll, like, "Oh, I can't believe he's saying this." If you can't believe he's saying it, then tell him that you can't believe he's saying it. Tell him it's not right. But it's the whole thing, like, this happens in racism all the time. Like, people are too, if you want to call it scared or whatever, it's just they want to save face. They don't want to come across the person who is, is standing up for what's right in the face of, I guess, a group of white people, because we all know that he's been allowed on several shows over the years to spout this absolute crap that he spouts. And she won't want to be the one to step in and say that's wrong because she wants to appease her bosses who are probably predominantly white, which is why she doesn't want to say anything about the stuff that he says, just obviously on a racism point of view. So she just wants to appease them, and that's the whole thing. Like, as we spoke about, where we've seen in the past few months where people haven't spoke up against racism, it's to not seem like the odd one out. People don't want to, for some reason, be the one to make that change, because it makes everybody's eyes upon them, and that's what people don't want. They just want an easy life. They want an easy ride, and to not be challenged in life. And that's where I struggle, and that's why I have no respect for her at all, in sense of standing up for the right things, because she has had so many opportunities in the past to stand up against racism, to stand up against bullying, standing up against sexism, which she has not done. So for me, like, what she says just means absolutely nothing to me whatsoever.
And you know what? Yeah, I don't know if you guys are touching it already. Bon ITV, fam. How on earth?
Nice segue, KJ. Nice segue.
Fam. How on earth are you gonna do? Oh, be kind, Caroline Flack. May her soul rest in peace.
I tweeted it, bro.
You said, "Oh, Caroline, be kind, be nice. Everyone, we need to be nice to each other." And then let your biggest presenter, your main presenter, do that. Now, bun you, man. You man don't actually care. Man.
He's been allowed to do this for years, though. When he was at the newspapers, he hacked dead people's phones. Like, people who'd been killed, he hacked dead people's phones to get information and stories out of them. He made fake pictures. I don't know if it was him directly, but he was the perpetrator of fake pictures of UK troops. He's done so many bad things in the past. Obviously, he's been sexist, he's been racist, he's been a bully. He mocked Greta Thunberg, who is 14 years old, on live television, and still he consistently gets jobs. Britain's Got Talent made him a household name in more people's lives because it was a family show and he was allowed on there.
Now, so here's my question to you guys. Wrap up. Carry on.
My thing is this, yeah. If he wants to be a dickhead on there, yeah, be it cool, innit? But if you're not allowing someone to also be the opposite to him, to balance it out, that's my issue. ITV, you're here to make money. Does he make money? Okay, cool. Yes, he does. All right, cool. Then actually bring someone here that actually also makes money, but also challenges him. You can't be letting him just say this, that, and the third. You can't, because I guarantee you, if it's all the way around, Piers Morgan, if it was just someone always spouting the SJW nonsense that he likes to say that people spout, if it was just them spouting it, you can tell. You already know Piers Morgan, first one tweeting it. Man, he's the first man calling Oxfam, saying this is the disgrace. You know what I'm saying? You already know. So if you want balance, let there be balance, innit? Let there be balance, because I guarantee you there'll be more money from balance than just letting my man spout nonsense. I'm telling you now.
100%. Laurie, if you want to come in now?
No. I was just agreeing.
All right. B, I'm going to ask you a question now that you're back, okay? And I want everyone to answer this, okay? Like I said in the private chat, it's a conversation, and we're all talking here because, we all represent society, okay? Why has Piers Morgan continued to be aired? And let me elaborate. Why are people like Piers Morgan continuing to be aired? So let's talk about Hopkins, talk about the Daily Mail, all these racist people in a public that have public authority, have a public platform. Why are they still in jobs?
I think the fact of the matter is that they're popular, and so many people think the same way as them. If their opinions weren't popular opinions or opinions that were shared by the general public, they wouldn't be where they are. So I think the fact that they've been allowed to have such big platforms actually shows you what the UK is. It shows you that there's so many people sat at home pretending to be regular people but share the same bigoted thoughts as these people on television. So I think it's more of a reflection of our society than anything else, because we've allowed them, we've enabled them to be in these high positions. We've enabled them to say whatever they like with zero consequence.
100%. And as well, a middle class white male represents a lot of people in higher powers in this country. So, and that's exactly what Piers Morgan is. Katie Hopkins, again, a you know, a middle class and above white female. That's just what this country is founded on. Any MPs, it's very rare that an MP who is in a higher position of power is a regularly educated person. Never mind a regularly educated ethnic minority. Like, it's nothing like that. It represents this country, and whether people want to agree or not, Piers Morgan and Katie Hopkins and people like that represent a lot of what this country's ideology is, hugely, which is why people like Tommy Robinson, Nigel Farage, for example, are still celebrated. Maybe not on a large scale, but they're still celebrated in terms of the fact, as much as Nigel Farage is so inherently racist and he doesn't even care, like his policies are racist. And that political party was literally in the main election. So that just goes to show you absolutely everything. Our prime minister is racist. So nobody can tell me that Piers Morgan doesn't represent a lot of this country's thoughts and feelings, because he does, and it's exactly why he keeps getting chosen time and time again for jobs.
And the annoying thing is it's not illegal. Freedom of speech, you know what I mean? It technically falls under freedom of speech, so you can't actually. There's nothing you can actually technically legally do about it. Like,
yeah, there wasn't even anything legally to do with race until the late 60s, 70s.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like, that's how recent it is. Like, some of our parents were born before then.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's just wild.
The fact there's no. Oh, sorry, I'm getting feedback there. Sorry. The fact there's no like repercussions for treating people in a disgusting manner due to what they look like, what they believe in, where they're from. The fact there's no actual legal ramification is also a big issue. And also, when you talk about the Piers Morgans, the Kate Hopkins represent a large section of the British population, the other part of it gets manipulated by them, because I believe racism is also a weapon used for classism.
Yeah.
And so I lived in Middlesbrough for 4 years, and that place is peak. Kendall, you're from Durham, so you understand what it's like down there, up there. What happens is, when you're in a place filled with poverty, the people you look to, the higher class people you look to, will tell you you're losing. You're in your position. You haven't got your job because of those people that look like this, those people that believe in that, those people that act like this. They are the reason why you're in your position. So then that builds more tension between the races and the cultures. And then when it becomes to things like the UKIPs, the Brexits, they start to believe those people there, because like, they're the ones who told me about the real problem. I'm going to back them because they're going to fix it for me. My brother, they ain't fixing nothing for you.
Nothing.
They don't actually care about you, and that's the issue.
It literally goes to show that the Tories got in. Like, look at the Tories got in. They only care about themselves and the people in their class. They don't care about the working class, yet people were led to believe that they cared about the working class, specifically the white working class, because a lot of the white working class, all the generations, are racist because of what they've learned and what they've grown up around. And it was the whole, we're going to ban immigration and we're going to do this, that, and the other, and we're going to make sure this is for the Brit people. And that's why Brexit was so popular, because this whole immigration crack and the fact that British people were going to get jobs, and they don't represent you, man. They don't care about you. They don't care about the working class whatsoever. But people were led to believe that so that they would vote for them, and they still did. So, it's just embarrassing. But for me, racism is completely a learned behavior. Nobody is born racist. It's not something that is in your brain. Like, it really isn't. There's been studies done on it several times, and it's a learned behavior. So for me, until white people stop making an excuse for their racist behavior, like, I was learned it, I grew up in this environment, like, until they stop making excuses about it and actually go out and think, and learn themselves and educate themselves to not think this way, nothing will change, because, as I said, it's a learned behavior. So it's not going to change until people can't stop making excuses.
Why would they?
Well, yeah, exactly, because they don't need to. They don't need to, because so they're never going
their
to. Their ideas are represented by so many people in high positions. Your prime minister, who was apart from the Queen, is like the highest, obviously, rank in the country or whatever, literally said that black people were pickaninnies and had watermelon smiles, and people think that's okay. The BBC literally said the N-word live on air,
What?
didn't
Twice,
apologize,
yeah.
and allowed it to happen.
Oh yeah, and apparently she just read something wrong.
Yeah,
She
she read
tried to
something
bring
else.
Yeah,
All right,
something
okay.
out.
So your
That
brain
old
reads like
chestnut.
4 words before you speak it. So like, how can you not realize not to say that? Like, so if people see that, and you know, people who want to say they're not racist but really they are, because a lot of like our parents and beyond are racist, not racist, but they have racial bias, whether it's subconscious or not. They have racial bias, as you know. The loose woman said, "Oh, casual." It maybe was casually racist. Like that was okay. Like that was justified because it was a casual. It was a casually racist. She didn't mean it maliciously. Like racism is not meant maliciously anywhere. Yeah,
Okay,
because
you know what you're
it's so
saying, though?
represented.
You know what you're saying about what you said, are they gonna change, right? This is the funny part, right? Are they gonna change? We all know racism's not gonna die. Everyone knows that. It's a known fact, yeah. But we can try and change society in the sense of where we work, our area that we live in, or the environment that we are in, right? My question to you all is this: where do we start?
There's nowhere. You can't start nowhere because they come to us for the answers. That don't make sense to me. Like when the whole George Floyd thing happened last year, like I must have left it for a week before I emailed like my bosses, like, well, go on, you're not gonna check I'm okay. Like, have you not just seen what's just happened? Like,
I got
like,
nothing. I got
like,
nothing.
I was like, well, and then
It probably didn't directly affect them, as I was saying before. That's
listen,
probably why
they
they
just
don't.
sent out some blanket email saying we don't tolerate racism and discrimination. So automatically they added in
Yeah, but that's not what
homophobia
I'm asking.
and
That's
stuff
not what
like that.
I'm asking.
Like
You're asking,
like,
are
I
you
was
gonna
asking-
check if see if I'm okay? That's answering the
Oh,
question.
and then they asked me to come up with the solutions to how we can integrate the thing. Like we've got this app at work in it that everyone can log onto, and then like some woman just went into a mad rant like, "I'm not taking a knee." I was like, "Bro, what do you mean? I didn't ask you to take the knee. What are you talking about? What? Where has this come from?" Like,
Wait.
You say it like a 5-second thing is inconvenient. If you don't want to take the knee, don't. No one's forcing you to do it.
I'm telling
you,
you, Karen actually thought you had to walk through the door when you see your boss take the knee and be like,
Take
bro,
the knee.
Black Lives Matter.
Honestly,
And then
I
get on with her
guarantee
day.
some people probably thought as soon as you saw a black person, oh, we have to take the knee. We have to take the knee. That's what they thought their day will consist of.
And you know when they do their integration things, yeah, it's all about like when they do their integration things at work, it's always let's get an Indian in or let's get a Chinese in. Like, bro, what is that? Like,
came in. All jokes
like,
like,
oh, Pakistan, you're right.
I was gonna say that.
It's just bad. Like we could try it. I don't even believe it's our job, innit? I was like, everybody knows right from wrong, innit? They know what's right, they know what's wrong. It's that they don't want to know, innit? Like, so because they don't want to know, why am I taking my time out of my day to teach them? Like, I ain't got time for that.
Yeah, the
Money
worst thing
makes.
is that they ask for answers, and when you give it to them, they're like, that's a bit difficult.
Too much, yeah.
So what's the point?
People find it an inconvenience just to make one simple change in their life. Like it's not an inconvenience. It's literally for better. Like I've said for literally years and years and years since I was probably old enough to even know that it is not up to black people to stop racism or anyone who suffers racism. It's not up to ethnic minorities to stop racism because they are not the cause. They are the subject.
We're not going to stop it in the way that you want us to stop it as well. Like if we try to stop it, it's just going to end in drama. Like,
You're asking the result. You're asking the result to stop the question. Oh my gosh.
Okay,
Usman, before you go venture, Usman, welcome to the channel, welcome to the show.
Yes.
He's just had a good show with Anita, guys, so please make sure you go and watch that back.
Shout out to the Queen Anita.
Usman, obviously you've been watching it for a little bit. You know the subject, and
of course.
Shout out to Kendall and B because they're flying the female flag right now. Thanks to Mel that came on. We're talking about
Rachel.
Where do you start on changing society, racism and stuff? So for you, because you are coming from a different background compared to the rest of us.
Yeah.
So you're coming from the Asian background, the Asian growing up in England. So, I mean, can you just elaborate a little bit on that And also, where do you think it will start to change, or where we can change?
Yeah, no, like, I did my dissertation on racism actually. When I was at uni, I did it on racism in football. So we got this sort of organization in Sheffield that tackle racism. So I did the full dissertation on that. So for me personally, the conclusion, you know, to save you guys reading 10,000 words, obviously, the conclusion was, it kind of stemmed down to society. Like, you know, I teach in schools every single day of my life. You know, I see kids from white, you know, whatever background, black, yellow, green, whatever you want to call it. Never ever had a kid in school, right, that's ever gone up to another kid and had any issue with that kid for whatever reason, for the skin color. And you know, you
Sorry, Usman, can I just ask, is that primary and secondary schools, or
yeah, working both?
Both, yeah. No, I was gonna say, because with I can't speak for everyone's schools, but I know in my son's school, that is very embraced. Like, you walk around the school and Black lives are celebrated.
But
they have lots of international days as well.
Absolutely.
So they celebrate all cultures, and race, creed, and color doesn't come into any impact of their life. So sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, so the point, that kind of leads me on to the point I was making, is like, at the end of the day, this is taught. You know, we all know racism is taught. It's not something you have at birth. And the only way to change these things is by the next generation. It's quite evident that the generation above us, you know, Nita made a good point. I had her and Koja on the podcast, and she was saying, I'm happy with the current affair with the society, because our generation are standing for change. Our generation are not going to accept racism as something that's normal. It's no longer the norm. The generations above us, you got the Piers Morgans that I'm happy you guys have been slagging him off, because I absolutely can't stand the guy, but it is what it is. Yeah, so their generation, Lord Sugar, I don't know if you've seen, he's come out and back Piers Morgan after the shit he's been spouting. And their generation is systematic racism. That's what they were born on. You know, as Kendall said, the major change was in the 70s, you know, where you saw obviously people like Muhammad Ali standing up for black rights, obviously Rosa Parks, etc. That's when change actually happened. So older generation is the issue. When the new generation, to answer your question, we've got to educate the new generation in equality and obviously understanding that there's no difference between skin color, and that's how change is going to happen. It's not going to happen overnight. It's quite evident with obviously what's happening with Megan Markle situation, that there's a lot to overcome. It's going to happen over a long period of time, but it starts with the next generation for me, because our generation is not racist. I don't see many people, you still see people our age being racist, but they're the minority. You got the EDRs, man, they're a minority. And a lot of them hide behind the Union Jacks on social media because they don't want to show their face. But it is what it is, isn't it? But yeah, that's my answer to that. That was the conclusion I had. It's like, you're not taught to be racist. You got to be, but from a young age, if you teach them the right ways, they'll hold it for the rest of their life. And at the young age, they're getting taught the wrong ways, which is the issue by parents, etc. So that's where we need to.
Usman, I've got a question to ask you, and a question to the panel, I suppose, to everyone here. When you go to school, okay?
Yeah.
When we all went to secondary school, primary school, you're in school from between the hours of 8:30, 3:45, whatever, okay? When we say educate these people and stuff, it's not tough though, because, and this is me playing devil's advocate, because when you go to school as a child and as a teenager, can't everything you've learned during the day be unjust as soon as you get home?
Look, obviously, absolutely.
The reason I'm asking, let me I'm elaborating here, because this is a question I was asked at one of my conferences I took, right? And it startled me a little bit, because I was thinking, wow, I did not expect that. And I know what I answered, but I just want to hear your guys' answer, because you say it's not our generation, we've got to teach the next generation. But unfortunately, Usman, some of our generations still teach their kids segregation. You know, now I'm going to tell you something now. I grew up in South London in Scotland, okay? And in London, there was not a problem, you know? There was every different kind of race on my block, on my street, whatever, okay? Every different kind of takeaway you can imagine. Come Scotland, boy, that walk home, the playground, lunchtime was lonely, okay? When I say lonely, I'm saying everyone's walking past you like you're some statue. You're like the first thing they've ever saw. Like you're an alien. So I've grew up with these kids, okay, and those kids are teaching their kids to be
to do the same thing.
So I'm asking you guys, like, how do we fight that battle? Because I'll give you an example. I'm not going to name him, but he picked up his daughter from school, and he said to me, "Oh man, she was so black."
Wow.
I was like, "What?" And I was like, "What did you say?" He said, "Oh, she was so black." I was like, "What does that mean?" "Oh, she was dirty." I'm like, this is the same guy that I grew up with, that someone was racist to me and he punched them in the face, right? And I'm thinking, that's what you're teaching your kid though, but you grew up with me. So that's my question to you guys.
I'll answer it. I'll answer it for you. I'll tell you what, there's a couple of issues. First and foremost, within society, we kind of touched upon it. Like the major factor, right, with society and the narrative, so to speak, the brainwashing, whatever you want to call it, is the media is the problem for a lot of it. Like, and I'll give you a couple of examples. Obviously, I'm Muslim first and foremost. As you guys know, the way we're branded within tabloids. If you ever see, anything surrounding Muslims, the faith is always mentioned in the tabloids. Why would you mention if someone's Muslim and something bad happens? And again, why don't you mention when someone's Jewish or Sikh or whatever it may be? Why is that the case? Because they love, and Megan said it in the interview, character assassination. They love it. They want to assassinate the character of Muslim. So subconsciously, to the uneducated person, when they read The Sun and all these articles or whatever, trash newspapers, it subconsciously goes in the head. Every time you read it and you see something negative and the connotation that is Muslim, automatically they're brainwashing the massive and assuming they go hand in hand. And this is the problem. And it's the same with black people as well. I know you got a question. It's the same with black people as well. You see with the Raheem Sterling situation, man called them out for it. Every time it's a black person, they add an extra flavor onto it because they're painting that picture for the people, the uneducated people, which is a massive in the country. They read that article and think, and then it's subconscious, even if they're not noticing, they think, oh, he's a black person and he's doing X, Y, and Z. But when it's an English person, they don't mention that stuff because then automatically you don't affiliate those things with an English person. They affiliate with someone of color, and that's go on.
Sorry, now what I was gonna cut in and say is, what you notice, they will always highlight, this is nothing against any white people, but when it's a white person, they always highlight that they've got some sort of mental issues or mental instability. Like it's something that we don't have ourselves.
Mental issue, take your pick. The spin wheel, like even take one of the picks.
Even like here in the States, like for things like drug abuse and things like that, like they'll differentiate it. Like if back in the 80s when crack was a big problem, right? For black people, it was like, 3 strikes and you're out type thing. And now there's a big opioid crisis, right? Within the young white community. And now it's like more of a, how do we change the mental feeling of being depressed, and people are using opioids because they're depressed, and it's only literally viewed differently because of the people who are using the drug.
It's a classic case of the black people, Muslim people, whatever, have collective representation. So if you do something wrong, you represent the entire group of people. But if a white person is wrong, they're the lone wolf. They are they're the one that there's something wrong with them and them alone. We are normal. That is the one. Why can't it be the same?
It's like even if you bring it down to even if you break it down to football, like you know how people talk about Pogba and his social media use, and I'm sitting here looking like I see James Madison, I see Declan Rice, I see all these dudes. Like James Madison's Instagram looks way more exciting than Paul Pogba's Instagram. Paul Pogba's Instagram is just ads. Of him like, promoting Adidas and stuff like that. Or to Usman's point, I remember last season when he was hurt, and it was New Year's or something like that. And he posted a video of him in his car praying, right? And the media killed him for that. And I'm like, oh, this man's in his car just praying, and y'all are giving him acting as if he he's Muslim, so people were acting as if he was like on some like some terrorist.
But yeah, but it's not like he was plotting to or something. That's
right. And I'm looking like he's just praying, and like I remember Ryan Giggs was like giving him grief for that, and I'm looking like, yo, like I just lost so much respect for Ryan. Like obviously he's a club legend for us, you know what I'm saying? But I lost so much respect in that moment when he was criticizing Pogba for. I think it literally was saying praying my way into the new year type thing. I think that's what the tweet said. And,
no, he was saying he said that that's not how I would be spending.
And then
like Ryan Giggs is the voice of friggin' morality after what he did. Living down the absolute cheat to speak of what he would do. What you'd be going to sleep with your brother's wife on New Year, would you? Probably, absolute moron.
The argument is that his point was he would want to be playing football over anything. But I'm like, my brother. So be selective with how you're saying it. What you're saying isn't, it doesn't matter what you're doing, I'll choose football over that. No, you're not saying that, my friend.
Yeah.
You're saying
you know what the whole mad situation is? You know what the mad situation is? Everybody in here, if you don't mind saying, what's everybody's education level in this in here right now? If you don't mind saying, you don't have to answer if you don't want to.
Agree.
Okay, so boom, straight away, every single one of us has been. Every single one of us has been to university or like a high level of college or whatever. You know, the two most racist people in the world are the poor people because they don't have no education, and the richest people that want to keep everybody else down. So
away from it.
The whole Brexit thing. Literally, whenever anybody was interviewed about Brexit, they went and spoke to the most uneducated person that they could find. And every time they spoke to them and asked, why are you voting Brexit? All they kept saying is to stop people coming into the country. That was their whole, that was the whole jobs. That was the thing is, they're taking the jobs that you don't want to do. You don't want to go McDonald's and clean the toilets. You don't want to go McDonald's and flip burgers. You don't want to go to Costa and make coffee. So what jobs are they actually taking for you? Because you don't want to do the jobs that they're actually doing. So what is your problem? And like to get to what Usman said about the media and things with Muslims and stuff like that. You know where it happened to me the most? Every time when I lived in London, everyone came up to me, asked, am I Muslim? That was the question I got the most because I've got a beard. Am I Muslim? I went to the Arsenal versus Chelsea FA Cup final just after the Manchester bombings. And I swear to you, some guy with a backpack, I swear, like came running. He was obviously late for the game, but he had a ball, he had a beard, he was Asian, had a backpack, came running down the stairs. Bro, I shit myself. Like I was like, what the hell's going? What's he gonna do? And where does that come from? Like, obviously, I'm not like.
See, that's what I was talking about. The subconscious
but that's subconscious, and that's coming from the media, innit?
You don't even notice it half the time when you're reading stuff. You don't even pay attention sometimes. You skim read or whatever, or it's just in your vision. That's how they brainwash people, and they're painting these narratives, and they're always painted as the bad person in these situations. Whenever the good guy, like Black Panther's literally the first black superhero. Prior to that, we're always the villain. Do you know what I'm saying? I know it's such a ridiculous statement, but it's always been the case, even in films. Like little things like who dies first. The black guy always dies first in films. Like, I'm not even gassing. It's true. Like, you can check it. Yeah. Like, it's just little things, right? You think they're not big things, but it's little nuggets that create a bigger picture subconsciously. You just said that yourself, and I appreciate you being honest about it. But that you're not racist. I know you're not racist, but that's come because of this image that's been painted. And if you're saying that, think about someone who's on the borderline. These uneducated EDL wannabe members, them mans will take that and run, and that they've achieved their goal. And like we spoke about, obviously, as the comment says about Piers Morgan, I just got a question for you, lot. You know, this whole BLM movement, right? Obviously, it's brilliant to see, but surely this whole everything that we've seen of late just shows how fake it all is and disingenuous it all is, because man on ITV are preaching BLM and mental health and all that stuff, and then they're airing this for clicks. So which one is it? Which one's more important to you, lot?
Because they don't really care. They do it for a narrative and propaganda.
No, it's
Yeah,
KJ, man.
KJ,
Speak
look,
to you soon,
KJ, listen, KJ, thank you so much for coming through. Blessings on blessings, my bro. Seriously, I'll speak to you later on tonight. Anyway, Timmy, I know you need to cut.
Yeah, I appreciate
Timmy,
you,
just
bro.
before you go, can you
Yeah.
please plug your socials, my friend, please?
Yeah. So my Twitter is the only, for all of us football fans, everyone make sure to follow me at Timmy Talks UTD. Support All for United. It's where I'm, mostly at. Coming out with I'm relaunching my YouTube channel very soon. You know what I'm saying? So make sure to support that as well. You know what I'm saying? So appreciate all y'all who's on the stream. This was a great conversation. And hopefully I'll be on Bob's channel more often. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, 100%, bro. 100%.
Yeah,
I'll message you later, man.
Yeah, y'all take it easy.
Go take on. Go take on.
Salute.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, guys. So, I mean, look, a few more minutes left. And the last thing I want to ask, okay? The main thing that connects us all together, right, is football, okay? I know we've talked about football and racism, racism and football and so on. Why does the English media look at someone like Pogba and think he's flashy, he's arrogant, and so on and so on? But look at James Maddison, who dresses exactly the same. Has anyone seen James Maddison's Instagram here, by the way? Yeah, he's got the same drip as Pogba, right? He's quite flashy, actually. But in fact, I take that back. He's not flashy. He expresses himself. He has a character. But they laud James Maddison for being expressive. It's like they say to him, it's good that he's different. He's not a robot. Yet we have a black man who does the exact same thing, who does the exact same thing but gets punished for it. What's our thoughts? I'm going to come to you, Vichy.
Okay, so
wait 2 seconds because
okay.
So is this Nathan? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Nathan. Thank
Yeah,
you for coming
basically,
on.
what?
Thank you for coming on.
It's all right, man. Yeah, basically, what I was gonna say is about this racism thing. Yeah, for those that don't know, I'm mixed race. My dad's Nigerian, so big up. But my mom's Central/Eastern European. So so for me, I can't, in perspective, speak for a full white person and a full black person. Yeah. But for me, the thing is with racism, it's so subtle in some places.
That
he's
man.
Gone.
Just like
oh, he's gone.
Like that. We imagined it, yeah.
Yeah. They become.
You know what? Yeah. The thing is, they're just racist to anyone that's not English. Because when it really started, when Arsene Wenger came to the country, and they didn't like that at one stage we fielded a whole team of non-English players. It wasn't even that came second. The whole black team we fielded 9 black players, but they didn't like when he fielded a whole team that weren't English. When you look at people like Bellerin, how they go after him for the way he dresses. But then, like you're saying, Grealish does the same thing, but it's okay. It's Grealish. Grealish and Jermaine Pennant done the same thing. Jermaine Pennant had to wear a tag, went in prison for doing what Grealish has done. How many times has Grealish done the same thing? Harry Maguire. Does everybody forget that the guy had a big court case?
What he did in Greece.
What he done in Greece.
Jail, 2 nights, bro.
Try Google it. Google it and see if you find anything to do with it. So it's just the whole thing.
Harry Maguire got an interview.
Huh?
Harry Maguire got an interview after it all happened.
Like it's just mad, isn't it? Like this is why they don't want Tuchel to do well. Because of Lampard. Lampard was white in English. They can't accept the fact that Lampard didn't do well, and they kind of want Tuchel to fail. And I think it's just everything. It's just everything. You just have to be white in English.
Even
they're cool.
I feel like it's levels. Yeah, I feel like it's levels, right? It's almost like a pyramid, right? It's like, okay, fine. If you're first of all British, right, and you're white, whoa, that's the best. We love you. Come in. Yeah. Then if you're British and you're anything else, then we'll manage. it's hard, but we'll manage, right? If then there's if you're white and you're not from the UK, that's something else. But if you're black and you're not from the UK or you're not from England, then that's another level, you know.
But even if you are black and from the UK, that is a problem as well.
That's what I'm saying. It's a different level. But for example, right? Look at how Balotelli was treated versus, I don't know, like Jermaine Defoe or Pennant and them. You could see a difference, right? Like it's like you can't just come here and look like you're enjoying yourself and look like you're actually like excelling and at the expense of other British people that are probably just like, obviously they know they're not good enough, but they're just not chopping as much money as you are and chopping life. So that's the issue.
Guys, we're just gonna wrap up with Nathan. Nathan, you're on.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, we can all hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone can hear you. They can hear
Basically,
you
I
in
was
Africa,
saying,
bro.
yeah.
You're half Nigerian.
Yeah, fam, my
and you're
wife
half
has
Eastern
my
European.
wife has moved like it's in the Matrix. Yeah, basically, I remember
You got Prime and Big Gunner's Wi-Fi. That's why.
You got jokes, bro.
Basically, in the summer, it would be about 7 years since I've seen my grandparents on my mum's side. Because basically, like my mum and my dad on my dad's side was dead even before I was born. So basically, one time I went to go see my grandma in it. But what happened was, because when I was born, it's like very, very small. So it's basically 99% white, except for the odd like gypsies and 1 or 2 blacks. What happened was I went to go play football in it. And then the park was just full of like Romanian gypsies in it. But there, they don't really know or interact with black people at all. Not black, but mixed. So what happened was,
we'll say, Nathan, just before you go ahead, we actually can't say the word gypsies, just to allow you, and for people that are watching,
sorry.
the actual correct term is travelers.
Yeah, my bad.
Just
Sorry
to
about
carry
that.
on, but just to you know, where's
he's gone again. He's gone again.
Just to let everyone know that obviously, myself and the guys on the show, the correct term is actually travelers. To use the word gypsy is very, very offensive. So I do apologize if anyone from the traveler's origin was offended or of any sort. We don't stand for that. Okay. On that note, guys, look, thank you so much for joining me. You know, today was so random. I'm not gonna lie to you. Just like anyone here that was watching it, I'm sure your head was a bit hot when you watched the interview. It bothered me very deeply. You can ask Vinci, Prime, and Gunnar in the group chat. I was not in a good place mentally as well, and I was drained. And thank you so much for doing this with me, because it's very therapeutic, but it's also good when people actually see us YouTubers when we're actually just human beings, and you know we things that happen in life affects us all differently, and it's nice to see that regarding racism and also mental health, we're very, very passionate about it. So listen, thank you so much for coming. Ladies first, Kendall, if you can please let everyone know where they can find you and your socials, please.
Yeah, sorry. Just Kendall Rowan on everything. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Obviously, you'll also find me on the Football Terrace, on Midnight Vibes, Wednesdays and Sundays, and also the show that I host on a Friday at 9 p.m. Come on.
I'm gonna go, Vinci. I'm not gonna come to you because I already know where you are. Gunnar. I'm joking. Vinci, put out your socials.
No, literally, Vinci Codino Instagram. That's it. I'm not everywhere.
Yeah. Gunnar, what about you, my friend?
Yeah, it's just Big Gunner on Twitter and Instagram, but the away days on YouTube.
And Usman Talks United. I'm joking, Usman. Thank you for coming on, by the way. I know it was short, so thank you very much. I'm gonna go watch your show with Queen Neats. Please tell everyone where they can find you.
Yeah, no, first of all, just before I just want to say a massive well done to Bobz. Obviously, I message you anyways. Look, it's important that, you know, people like Bobz, you know, you use your platform to spread awareness, man. These topics are important, man. Like, you know, so huge shout out to you. Obviously, you don't have to do this. I'm happy that you've done it. You know, we got to continue the conversation. That's what it's all about, innit? Because there's people out there, you know, watching this, you know, they might be educated, they might be struggling mentally, and you've got to continue to spread awareness. And also shout out to Big Gunner as well for, bro, the content you're doing as well of late as well. Big Gunner Talks. Shout out to you, bro, as well, man. It's exactly the same thing, man. You love to see it, man. That's what I want to be seeing, that content. It makes me happy to see that because, you know, we've got to stand up and obviously, you know, have that conversation with people. For people that, you know, don't want to have those conversations, especially in our community. So shout out to you both. Obviously, Bob's already said it. You know, I've just done a show with Anita and Kojo speaking about women in sport. Obviously, black women in sport in particular, racism in society, social media impact, that kind of thing. So obviously, check it out. Usman Talks United. But yeah, show love to Bobz. Make sure you drop a like, people.
And Laurie, yourself, where can people find you?
So you can find me every Wednesday. Listen, yeah. No, you're lucky you're my boy, you know. No, you can find me.
Does not condone violence, Laurie, just to let you know.
I wasn't even gonna say that. No, you can find me on Twitter at Laurie Nix, so 2 X's. As I mentioned a bit earlier during the chat, my DM is open to anyone that wants to discuss this any further, on the playbacks, whatever. This is something that we always talk about on a regular basis, but like I said, I'm always open there, and I'm always there to support everyone through thick and thin. You can also find me every Wednesday with that chief above me, that way.
You're playing the wrong way, bro.
We do the OG show, Old Gunners, so we talk about classic Arsenal, the good old days when we actually used to win stuff and was successful. And I've got something coming up. And I've got something coming up soon with Strong TV with Charlotte. Look out for that as well.
Amazing. And finally, the YouTube Young Hero Prime, where can they find you?
Himself. I heard that.
So I didn't say that. I say that loud. I apologize.
Yeah, what's that? I'll
this
get
guy,
to it,
trust me.
Yeah, I'm on the Football Terrace. You can catch me there. My Twitter, just search Prime. I'm also trying to use my Instagram a bit more. So, yeah, follow me on Instagram as well. Search Vladimir Prime, and I should come up. I'm also here every Sunday on the wrap up, so just follow the wrap up on all.
Yeah, you notice? Did you notice Vinci and Gunner never mentioned that? But it's fine. Don't worry. You're getting Dr. Week's wages for that, but it's fine.
That's
wait. Let's address this live on air though, because you did it. You know why it's good, yeah?
No, you know why?
No. Stop.
Liverpool can't win.
Hey, behave yourself.
No, listen. No, you lot disrespect me.
Behave yourself.
You lot disrespect me on Sunday.
Exactly. You weren't there to defend us. You weren't there to defend us, Big Gunner. You see how they were moving when you weren't there to defend us.
Sorry, Shaka wasn't there to defend you.
Listen. Also, I just want to also state that shout out to you all, because obviously we also the comments. It is what it is, you know. People get racist in the comments. That's just how it is. But you know, thank you for staying strong and carrying on. Shout out to Beatrice from Gold Diggers as well. Very appreciated. Shout out to Rachel from the First 11. Guys, thank you so much for sticking with us for nearly 2 hours and 40 minutes. Thank you so much. Make sure you like and subscribe. Peace and love to you. Take care and stay safe.